Also noises.
Spoiler.
No one's at our chat.
Welcome. Welcome. Look at that. It was a team effort.
Yep.
Team welcome to episode 189. Boom.
Boo, 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 boo.
Annual Gen Con fail day has arrived. Yay. Gen Con fail day.
We almost decided to go with like a hotel that was 12 miles away, but it had 2 queen beds instead of 2 double beds. And it's just not going to deal with that.
My friend Tim is like, yeah, I'm trying. He's trying to find 3 other guys to split a downtown room outside of the housing rooms. He has to pay $650 a night for the hotel. He's like,
Christ.
do you want to split $650 4 ways? I'm like, I would rather not.
Yeah, that was
A night.
A night, $650 a night.
And then you're staying there for 5 nights?
Wednesday through Saturday. Yeah.
Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. So 4 nights. 4 nights, but that's still...
Well, it's $650 a person then.
Yeah, so then it's just $650. No, it's not $650 a person because Wednesday night, Thursday night are different prices than Friday night, Saturday night.
It's close, but you also have to add another $100 in taxes, and you have to add another $100 on the parking. You're basically paying about $800, $900 just to just to be in the room that you're going to be in very little bit.
Yeah, I'm done with Gen Con.
I love Gen Con so much, and every time I don't go, I regret it greatly. But it's so big, and there's just not enough space.
It's going to collapse under its own weight. Like, it can't.
I enjoyed Origins last year a lot, and Origins, as I mentioned before, is like Gen Con in the late 90s. You still have about 12 to 15,000 gamers. You still have a gaming hall. You still have your shopping area. You still have all places you can do. It's smaller than Gen Con, but I mean, if you want the experience with 40 less thousand bodies, you get a very similar vibe.
I mean, it's not anything bad about Gen Con. Gen Con is actually really fun to be at. It's more so trying to get the hotel space there.
Well,
then comes the events.
The sheer number of bodies. I mean, the last year or two, it has been noticeably more crowded than ever. And sometimes it gets a little frustrating to try to navigate from point A to point B.
I wonder if you could just download, like, Tinder and Grindr onto your phone and just each night just try to get a one-night stand and crash at their place.
No, it just don't even go for the one night stand. Just get really drunk and just pass out.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
You know, if I got to do, I got to do.
Okay.
But if it's saving me $800 in hotel rooms,
So that's the motivation to get in shape. So at Gen Con, you have the body to pull it off. Is that really
yeah, that's there. You
If
go.
I don't get in
Sometimes
shape, I'm
you
going to be
don't.
sleeping outside.
Sometimes you don't even need
Hold
a
on,
body
if people
for
are
that.
looking for one night stands at Gen Con, they're not going to care about weight.
But no,
I mean,
it's got to be people who live there. I can't hook up with another attendee. Well, I guess I could. I could crash in their hotel room.
Yeah.
There might be a whole culture of people who are just like in convention towns. I know it's kind of like this in tourist towns too, where you just like your people come in rotating door style, and you just don't care. You'll just hit a different person every night.
And for me, since my big focus is board games, I mean, Origins is almost more board game focused than Gen Con in some ways. But it's 3 hours farther away, so now it's a 9 hour. Because I drove alone last year, it's almost 9 hours, and that gets a little twitchy towards the end of that trip.
Yeah, I drove to Warmachine weekend and back.
Yeah.
That was not fun.
And that's 6. I mean 6 is rough.
Driving
too.
alone, fuck that.
Yeah.
It's the trip to Columbus, Ohio is that's where it's at, right?
Yeah.
Is it Columbus? Yeah. It sucks because you're driving all the way through Illinois and then you're driving through all of.
I mean, you're driving to India, like, man, I'm at Gen Con. And you're like 3 more hours. You're like, no.
Yeah.
I think this year I'm gonna try and be a little bit more event focused. Like I think our whole group is really interested in like True Dungeon, but then movies and other things there that we were trying to check out too. So last year I just like passed out because I was tired of walking.
Yeah.
Good luck trying to get True Dungeon.
Yeah, I know. I'm really gonna be pushing for it.
It's
Probably gonna take the day off.
I mean, if I don't go to Gen Con, it's like I just saved $1,000.
Yeah.
It's like plus, I mean, $1,000+ is just mine easily. So I mean, there's I mean, man, I do miss it. But yeah, it is what it is. I may try to get on the waiting list, but I'm so confident that's not going to happen now. But whatever.
Have you tried the waiting list before?
I have been on the waiting list in previous years and always got through, but we're talking when there was 30,000 or so less attendees.
Yeah, this
So,
is also
I mean,
a big
it's
year
the
for
50th
Gen Con.
anniversary.
too.
Yeah. 50th
So
is
I
gonna be
really,
rough.
I really don't. I'm sort of accepted it.
Has Gen Con really been going on for 50 years? Or is
Well,
it just
I hope
the
so.
50th
Otherwise,
one?
it's well, same thing. It's once a year.
It's like, or is it a news podcast? They
Well,
it's
you
really
just-
every 5 counts.
Oh,
every
sure.
6 counts as one. Really.
Each
Well, no,
day is
but-
one convention.
But I'm wondering, though, because, I mean, D&D really didn't start... Wasn't it late 70s?
It's been 50
Or was
years.
it? Or has it been
The first
60s?
few years were very small cons. They had it happened in Lake Geneva for quite a few years, then it moved
Yeah.
to Milwaukee for a very long time, and then it moved to Indianapolis.
Yeah, I don't see Gen Con starting in '67. It just seems weird to me.
Sorry.
Gen Con
Yeah.
could have been just them getting together in a hotel room,
Yeah, it was
screwing
well,
off.
Yeah,
it's
true.
It's like the Gamehole Con guys. His Gamehole Con is on his 3rd or 4th year, but they had like their little mini thing. And his gaming group was called the Gamehole Con, so he probably could have shown a
Or
higher
this is
number.
called the Game Hole. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he
And
could have.
conventions, it's not like D&D has to be when Gen Con started. Like, I was looking through cosplay galleries, and the thing they had was cosplay from, like, the 50s and 60s. And it's hilarious to see cosplay, like, pre-Star Trek and D&D and stuff, because everybody was all dressed up, like, from
Cowboys.
Barsoom. No, it was, like, a whole bunch of John Carter of Mars shit going on, because that was sci-fi, right?
Yeah.
Like, they didn't have, it was all, there was Barsoom-based things, there was... Lord of the Rings, like classic style, and then shit like Ralph Bakshi's Wizards and whatnot. That's about all they had.
So that's kind of cool. I mean, Gen Con will be fun for those who get to go, but man, I will say though, even the last couple years, just the sheer number of bodies, definitely. Well, especially and also my social anxiety just multiplies every year, so that also doesn't help. But man, it just because I mean, I would say the last 5 years, the cosplay group has really. There's always been cosplay at Gen Con since Gen Con was Gen Con, but it's just turned into now they pull in a good 10 or 15,000 people just for that. Where it used to be like a side element, now it's just a part. It's another feature.
Yeah.
Of it.
Well, it used to have specific days. Like, I remember specifically you had a Sci-Fi Saturday.
Yeah,
was
I mean,
that.
Fat Klingon Day. I mean,
Fat Klingons,
that's what it
yes.
was back in Milwaukee. I mean, that was cosplay. 90% of cosplay was just Fat Klingons. That's what
I miss the days of fat Klingons,
Yeah.
the giant warrior race who just never eats or always eats.
Yeah.
That's actually what I would cosplay as, is a fat Klingon, though, too.
Yeah.
just for the glory of the good old days.
See, I would lazy cosplay, and I would just be a Jaffa. And I would just take, like, some dry erase marker and just draw on my forehead. And then, boom, you're a Jaffa.
Well, there you go. Boom.
Well, Travis had his first convention today, so that could mark that.
Yeah, he didn't
50
invite
more
us.
years from now.
He
Yeah.
didn't
Travis
tell us
Con
about
happened
it.
today. No one from Madison was it? Maybe invited. Well, he might have invited the people who help him, like Dan, with stuff. Mm-hmm. So I mentioned Dan is there. The important Madison people that Travis cares about.
Yeah. Not some other judge.
Yeah, other judges are useless. We're talking about you, Nathan.
I got invited.
You got invited?
Yeah, but I have to
Son of a bitch.
We could have just had.
I have to with the talk podcast. That's what it's called.
I appreciate you choosing us over
Yeah.
Travis.
Yeah. Well, especially since we're podcasting early. If we're podcasting at 6, I could have tried to squeeze both in, but no.
No, I think one of the most frustrating things about the size of Gen Con right now, for me at least, is eating at night. You have to wait for hours and hours to find somewhere to eat, and it's just very frustrating. Especially since I've been I started out going to Gen Con on site, and I've just gotten further and further away. So now it's like there's no chance of me going back to cook food or grab a sandwich or something and then coming back. So I have to sit there. I think at the Ram we waited for 2 hours to eat one night.
Yeah, I think it's
My
almost...
Well, I was going to say my record at the Ram, and it's just so I don't have to remember the time. What it was from the time we entered the door to the time we were served our food was the extended edition of Return of the King.
Yeah, I think we watched most of Ice Pirates, right? No, that was at Scotty's. We watched most of Ice Pirates from start to finish before we got our food. So that's...
Well, you got your dessert before you got your food then, because Ice Pirates is a majestic film.
It was also the first time I ever saw it, so it was it was worth it, I
But
guess.
did you
That is your kind of movie,
Yeah.
too. Some people might not like Ice Pirates. There's no way Brian Kerr does not like Ice Pirates.
It was good. I enjoyed
It's got
every
space
minute
herpes.
of it.
Space herpes and the castrating
The
assembly
castrating
line.
machine,
Yeah.
yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah. Just clang, clang,
Oh,
clang,
man.
clang.
I remember having nightmares about that thing when I was younger.
Yeah.
What I had nightmares about when I was younger is the log in Flash Gordon that like the
Oh, where
the
you put
things
your
that-
hands
you
in?
put your hand in and the
Yeah,
thing will sting
fuck
you.
that thing.
Yeah.
Fuck that. Because that came out right around the same time as Temple of Doom.
Sure.
That had that same
Where
type
she
of
has
thing
to
where she
reach
has to reach
into
in.
yeah.
With all the fuck that. No, that I never.
Yep.
Never. I look at a hole and I'm not going to put my hand in it.
No.
It was a very gross hole. Someone just commented on our thread about how they go for the 10-mile at hotels, and I wish I could do that. I just can't. Like, well, even if this year, me, Andy, and Chris are going to go, it's like we have fairly different schedules to some degree, a little overlap, but we all. If you have one car and you're going like 10 miles out, you have to get there. You basically have to arrive and leave at the same time as everybody else in your car. So you have to like schedule everything around that group.
Sure. Plus parking, you're going to spend $900 over the weekend anyway.
And then if different people are going to shop at different times, and like when you're downtown, you can just go back to the hotel room and dump off stuff. But if you're all shot, you have to like time it all so much more. It's so much of a pain in the ass. I guess people could Uber or do things like that, but I don't trust technology.
Uber's fine, but it's
gonna be
super expensive during that time period because everybody's looking for an Uber at that time. Probably even more so than last year because I mean it's more of a
they do,
thing now.
Yeah. And like the whole like you mentioned, at least over the last few years, they've added more food trucks to help
Yeah,
stuff
that's been
out.
nice.
But that doesn't help at late night. It only helps out at certain time frames of the day.
Yeah.
And all the restaurants pretty much embrace Gen Con, but there's still only enough. There's not enough restaurants for the people. So no matter how much they're willing to increase their staff, it's still this huge wait time to get food.
I end up relegating myself to just eating fast food pretty much the entire time. I think there's like a Subway nearby or a
They have
Chipotle
Steak and
or
Shake
stuff.
too, which if you get your
Yeah.
stuff to go, it's not that bad.
I mean,
There's a Qdoba down there. If it's a little
Yeah.
So
I
there's
just-
some stuff.
I would just bring dried goods and eat Cliff Bars and shit.
Yeah, I could probably live off protein bars or something.
The mall has got the food court there too.
But even that gets pretty rough. I mean, it's not as bad as a ramp, but it's still a long wait.
I don't know. I'm tempted to just hobo. My eyes are dry.
I was
so,
going to say
yeah.
they can just keep on going wide
Yeah,
randomly
no.
during the conversation. So I'm like,
I'm
what's
trying.
going on?
My eyes are dry, and so I'm trying to get them to breathe a little bit. They're itchy. Yeah, I know I was making weird faces, but that's just. I think I need to put in new contacts. I think these ones have lived their life. You're supposed to they're supposed to last a month, and I just wear them for a year.
Or you don't wear them for the month though.
You wear them until
Well, you
your
don't keep
eyes
them
start
in. I mean, they're
building.
not keep in. They're wearing them
Right.
each and every day, but even still, they're only supposed to be last a month, and they're still fine. And so I, have them for 3-4 months until they tear, and then I put a new one in.
You just hold up the contact to your glass shower door, and if they look the same, then it's time to get rid of them.
Yeah, pretty much.
if your contacts have cataracts.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I just hobo it up. That's the only way I can think is just have dry goods in a backpack, like protein bars and Chef Boyardee with the Ripoff can and tip, and just eat them cold, and then just sleep in the hallways.
There's some people do that. I maybe when I was younger. Nowadays, I mean, I'm getting to the point where I don't want to have a cot anymore.
I couldn't even sleep on the bed that we had at our Airbnb place the other time. It was like this. It had a mattress. It had a box spring, but I couldn't tell which one was which. And that whole trip was the start of my whole hip bullshit. And I was just like, God, this fucking bed is terrible. I think it just exacerbated the issue.
Well, if you're on Fear Factor and they say, sleep in this corner for 3 hours and we'll give you $200.
Oh, I do that.
Okay, well, that's all you're doing if you
Yeah, but see, for me, Gen Con is a big trip. I'm spending it's my big vacation of the year. I want to enjoy it when you take away all the when you add all those annoyance factors. It's like, why throw that kind of money at a weekend?
I'll
Yeah,
just
you don't
rely
want
on
the
it
stress.
on a week before Gen Con, somebody going, hey, so-and-so can't make it. Do you want their spot? And maybe I'll say yes.
Yeah, it is. You don't want to rely on it, but I mean, the last couple of Gen Cons, I've been able to find somebody to room with.
There's
at
always
the last
someone who
minute.
drops off. I mean, Gen Con is such a huge financial burden.
Yeah, I mean, shit happens.
I got a text message. This is for Adepticon, but somebody messaged me hey, double checking. Were you in our room at Adepticon? I'm like, I have no idea, but sure. I don't know if I was, but I will be now.
I canceled my Adepticon room last week, and I got a $150 penalty. I was like, cool. That was exciting.
What?
Yeah, that's no fun.
It was like a $150 fee for canceling the room.
But it's not for 2 months.
I know. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not like they're not going to fill that room instantly.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they got $150. Basically, they got one night's payout.
Yeah.
Stay there.
Like, I know, like, if you do it too soon, that happens, but I'm shocked.
If you do it too late, if you do like,
I mean, too soon towards the event, which is too late from booking it.
Correct.
But I'm surprised that now is in that penalty realm.
It's about a month away.
Yeah, but
I
you
know,
can usually,
but
it was what it was. But
Well, that's
Crazy. Anyway, I'm Nathan.
Oh yeah, I'm Andy.
Brian.
Brian, I have a different topic to discuss that's completely not relevant to anything.
What?
And Nathan's great at irrelevant facts. It's kind of his strong suit, so he might be able to help out fill some gaps here.
I'll try.
And it's a couple-part story, so don't jump until I get quite into it, though. So
You're asking the wrong crowd
I know
to do that.
I'm just saying that ahead of time.
We'll let you tell your story.
Well, I guess it doesn't really affect all of us because it involves shaving, which pulls out most of you already.
Shays?
Yeah, I'm out.
Shaving, not the shays.
Oh, the shays.
Yeah.
What about the shays?
So for shaving, like I buy my razors in the store. I like to pay $20 for like 3 razors. That's how I roll. I prefer the high quality $20 for 3 razor thing. And I know people for a long time have gotten like the dollar razor club thing or whatever, and they do it via the mail. That's been around for 5-10 years. It's been around for a while. And they always say, "Don't shop with us and screw the big name brand." Is kind of their motto. But now I see on TV there's constant commercials for Harry's, which is like, look at us. We're 2 guys who started this razor club and buy it from us because we're the little guys. And I'm like, I can't tell if it's like the Dollar Shavers Club just like renamed themselves Harry's, or if this company just like took their idea but decided, hey, if we advertise, we can just fuck this other company out of like their complete existence. And I'm amused by that, and I can't tell if it's the same company or if some company just basically used commercials that just destroy the company that did it first. It intrigues me.
It's another company.
Yeah, it's another company.
So an interesting part of this that kind of goes into your like tinfoil thinking is their Red Bull, like in the like early 2000s when Red Bull was in every single alcoholic drink ever. There was another company that came out with a very similar can to Red Bull. It was the exact same one, except it didn't have the Bull on it. It just said Zap.
Okay.
And that company was Red Bull. So they ended up making their own cheap brand just to catch that income from those people too. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility that companies do that, especially with the whole like buy local trend that's happened recently.
Do you know Trivago? You've seen commercials for Trivago,
Yeah.
the booking website?
Yep.
So on their commercials, they're like, you go to all of these websites, but maybe you should do one last check, and you should check with Trivago. And that's their whole thing. Do you know who owns every single one of the websites they show in their commercial?
Trivago?
Trivago. It's literally all their shit anyway. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like they're doing you a favor and, like, going out and checking all the competition, which is better, A or B. They are A and B. So you're just checking with them an 11th time.
No, it's a good market strategy for it because it's like, in Red Bull's case, they sold the can for like $1 cheaper than normal. So they are losing out on money by selling their product for less, but there's still going to be people committed to buying the name brand, yeah?
Yeah. And like I said, I was just amused by that. I'm like, man, I think this razor place is just killing the other company, because I know that the company was there. That was their stick for
Yeah,
sluggies,
Dollar
you know.
Shave, yeah.
Like, we're taking, because I swear, even the sales pitch was exactly the same. It was just they didn't really advertise much on TV compared to because other companies.
Well, Dollar Shave Club is on, like, I see their internet advertising a lot, and Harry's I see on TV.
Yeah.
Well, and there's also like, and it's funny you say it's unrelatable because for a while I was also part of the Dollar Beard Club, and they just send me beard oil and soap and brushes and all this other fun stuff. And then there were a bunch of other offshoots from these Dollar Beard Clubs too. So it's just it's a pretty big trend for other, like, once one company gets big, then another one comes and does the same thing.
85 loot box types people now.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
subscription services.
Yeah, now that's just taken off like a complete clusterfuck of insanity.
Also, a side note to the original thing you said, like, your $20 razors aren't any better.
Yeah, I think they're brilliant, and I think anyone who takes, they are. The other ones give you cancer. Like Harry's blades give you cancer.
Sure.
And the Dollar Saver Clubs give you AIDS.
But your $20 razors,
Give you purity of soul.
okay.
I get to go into heaven because I use those razors.
Like, you die and Jesus, all he cares about is what razor blade you used.
That's the test, actually, if you get to get into heaven. Little known fact. They should really add it to the commercial, though.
I know.
Like Bix, you won't burn in hell.
If I didn't, one of the main reasons why I stopped shaving in general was because I had such a hard time squaring my beard when I would trim it. So, like, I really wanted to get into shaving with just a straight edge single razor. I just wanted to do that because I figured that would give me a more accurate and close shave. So every time I would try and use it, I would be off by just a little bit. And I don't know if it was actually off or if my head was tilted weird, but then I would just end up looking baby-faced again. So I haven't shaved, at least intermittently, for 4 years, something like that.
I thought you were going to say because of lazy. I got lazy. It's too much time in the morning.
No, I haven't shaved in like 6 or 7 years. And that's just attributed to laziness. I don't want to shave.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I was this isn't shaving. This is going on the Ripoff Company because I just remember this now. One of the dickest moves I'd seen in a long time was, so Lysol, or not Lysol, I'm sorry. Well, yeah, sure. I mean, there was Febreze that you sprayed in the air and it made stuff smell nicer, but it doesn't actually, like, clean the air. It's just like an air
it's
scent.
a cover-up.
And so there was Lysol for surfaces, but then these people came out, and I forget the name of their company, but they came out with an air spray that actually, like, found germs in the air and killed them. So, and they had these commercials, and they're like, hey, we're going to be straight with you, okay? Lysol is a phenomenal product. They're great. Use them for surfaces. We're not going to say a bad word about them. But we are different, and we spray in the air, and we do our job in the air. And like a month later, Lysol came out with an air spray version and just fucked those people into the ground. And I'm like, you assholes, they were so nice to you.
Yeah, you usually don't see that in competition where someone just says, well, this product's really good, but here's one similar. Try it.
Yeah. They're like, we're just a little different. They do what they do, and we do. And they're like, well, we'll do what you do also, and now you're bankrupt.
Yeah. Nice job. Thanks for the idea.
So there's a question in the chat there for asking about if there's going to be any vendors there selling tokens and such, and will you have any of this extra stuff from the Kickstarter there for sale?
I mean, I know the Muse guys are going to be there playing. I don't know if they're going to bring stuff for selling. Same with Broken Egg. I can touch base with both of them and see if either of those groups are coming.
I imagine, like, John's trunk is just full of product that he sells.
I would imagine so.
It's either at like grade schools or at Warmachine events. Whatever he drives by, he just tries to stop and sell tokens.
I was gonna go with an overcoat, all like Resident Evil
sure,
style.
Got you what you need.
Anything you need, stranger.
Was this the guy from Resident Evil 4?
Yeah.
What are you selling?
What are you buying?
Yeah.
The Mega 64 guys, who do the hidden cameras where they reenact things, they did that where he was just doing that, and like the cops were called on. It was pretty good.
So you could probably just actually email either probably Broken Egg or Muse.
Yeah.
And see if you want to buy stuff from them, ask them to bring it.
Yeah. I know, like I said, I know the Muse guys are going to be coming to the America's Team Championship. Because Nick said I need to mention it for audio. I thought that you said it when you read the thing, but maybe not. But at the ATC, they'll be there, so I can just tell them to bring stuff to sell. And I'll contact Broken Egg and see if anybody's coming down. I don't think currently anybody is, but they might want to.
For what?
To come to sell or play. I don't know if any of the anybody who's affiliated with Broken Egg is going to be coming. And I might have a little bit of random knickknacks from the Kickstarter still available. Like I had extra dice left, but I don't have any shirts. I don't have any coins. But I have a few little things. Yeah. I think they're still in the trunk of my car. Speaking of ATC, we got up to 24 teams before registration closed. That's a lie. 23 teams. And then like 4 days after registration closed, somebody's like, you got room for one more? I'm like, yes, please, to get us to an even number. So we have 24 teams, which is great.
Yeah, 24 is
a good number. So you guys didn't plan ahead to have the odd man out team?
Well, so the issue
I don't like an odd man out. I mean, usually people who show can go. I mean, the odd man out works backwards because then it's like either people who are willing to pull. Because you're talking to people who are willing to pull out if there's not a spot. It seems weird to me. I was like having, let everyone in, don't like force anyone to get out.
Also, the issue is like it's a coin flip anyway, because like I have an even number of teams now, but maybe one of them their car will break down and they won't make it. You know what I mean? So like I could have an even and the flip side, I could have had an odd number and one of their cars breaks down and that's perfect, gets us to an even number. So I mean, until day of, I have no idea if we're gonna have an odd number of teams playing. And the nice thing about a team event is there's an odd number playing. Instead of one person with a buy, there's 5 people with a buy, and I can just throw a copy of a board game at them and they can at least do something instead of just one guy twiddling his thumbs. Or we can have one person like Andy who then they can play 3 games of Warmachine, and I don't know.
I could play 5 games at a time.
Well, I figured that they would pair up. They would pair up into 2.5 games, and you would.
No, I would just play all of them at once.
Just line up 120s.
Yeah, just give me. I need to borrow all of your Cephalix. And then I need all of Brian's Cephalix. I have all my Cephalix.
Are you or Jordan or anybody going to play in Solo Masters? Have you been thinking about that still?
I think Jordan seems at least temporarily done with Warmachine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just doesn't seem motivated. But he's so into WoW right now that we'll see what happens in 3 months when winter finally goes away. But he basically plays WoW 20 hours a day.
Yeah.
He also put a lot of work into those Doom Reavers.
So I told him that Una was nerfed, and he was so angry at the concept that a new model came out that bad that it had to get nerfed before official release, that he thought the company was so incompetent and pathetic that he kind of wants to, he doesn't feel he wants to put his time into the company.
But
This is something
on
I
the
wanna
other hand,
talk
we're gonna have
about
the
soon.
open. We're gonna have the open play test going on,
Yeah, I
and
know.
so
I mean,
hopefully that'll catch shit
I
like
don't
that.
really. Yeah, exactly. I'm not that concerned with that statement. He's just not in the War Machine mood right now at all. So I don't know. Maybe by summer he'll be back to War Machine, but he won't be doing anything for
That
a
was
month.
that was one of the things I thought about as he was mentioning that too. And Jim and him were complaining about that. It's like, yeah, Una 2 should never came out the way she did.
Well, she didn't.
It's like, well, technically she did. She had a limited release.
That is true.
That was still official.
It wasn't
That-
even it wasn't even limited release because it was still available online. So that's what, in my mind, it makes it feel like it's a general release.
Yep. So, but I mean, all the people have basically complained about, they had their play testing for 3 years and they have all these crappy models out now, blah, 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 blah. They're instituting a thing where we can play test them before they actually come out now.
Yeah.
And that's the answer to that question. There's no reason to complain about 3 years of play testing because they're actually making an effort to work with the people on that.
PP is obviously making every effort to not be what people are afraid that is happening.
Yeah.
There's a good chance I'll be showing up the day of the playing the Masters, Solo Masters.
That'd be nice.
That's currently my intent, is to play the Solo Masters.
Yeah, and the annoying thing is that there's like 4 or 5 people I know are planning or have said they're kind of planning on it, but none of them signed up, and so it's just rotting it with this. It's rotting at this small sign up list, and then there's people like posting in the thread like, well, if there's only 4 people signed up, I might as well not go. It's like, no, there's going to be like more than that. It's just none of these a-holes.
I will not sign up until the last minute because I like the idea of 6 people in the event. It amuses me greatly.
Here's my plan was
Brian could bring his janky list and win it and go to wherever now.
I get free entry to War
Bastard.
Machine Weekend with
if there's 6 people, we can do a round robin tournament because there'll be 5 rounds of the team
Yeah.
event. Like even if we only do like the 3 rounds or whatever that it takes, we might as well play the other 2 rounds so everybody plays everybody.
I would play. I wouldn't do that. I'd drop out. Play an elimination, be done. I don't.
You don't like fun.
I don't.
Round
I'm
robins
so-
are fine. That's a
You
standard.
play to a winner, and then once you got a winner, you're done. I'm sick of all the other
No, you would
losers.
play till a winner, and then hey, you know what? There's 2 more rounds that everybody else is playing, so we might as well just
I can go and leave.
You can. That is fair. You can.
I'm done with the event. I'm out.
You love people so much.
I do. I actually get so nauseous around them lately. It's amazing. They just talk to me, and I want to throw up on them.
I laughed and a burp came out.
But yeah, no, and So Jeremy won't be. Well, Jeremy's he won't be available for a few months either. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see things. But yeah, I don't know. Yay, War Machine.
Yeah, I think that and I know that some people might have legitimate complaints about the state of War Machine right now, but I think that there are a lot of things out there that also interest them. Like not a whole lot of people are just War Machine centrically focused. There's other things that they're interested in. So by saying that this War Machine issue is a problem for me and that's why I'm not playing, it's really just them trying to make up an excuse for wanting to really do this thing.
Well, there's so many. We are as gamers very lucky right now. It's not like it was years ago where you had like War Machine and historicals.
Yeah, you had to roll with the punches.
You had fantasy. You had fantasy, or you had 40K, or you could play some wonky historical game, and then War Machine was a big thing, and then you got a slow smattering of a couple skirmish games here and there. You got some Malifaux, but now you just got like just a clusterfuck of options.
Yeah.
And so when one game isn't really up to par, it's like, well, if I can get 3 or 4 friends to play something else, well, my time is still filled. So what does it matter to me? So if game A is not, it doesn't have to be bad. It just doesn't have to be great. And if game B or C are pretty close to great, well, I'll just play those.
Yeah, the trends of and since we live in that kind of world, the Privateer Press slipping a little bit on some of their core concepts for how they've approached Mark III are starting to show a little bit, because I pay a lot of attention to the second or third level markets like Bartertown and things like that, and there's been a big trend lately of people trading War Machines for Age of Sigmar armies. I know that our group has started playing Age of Sigmar also. It's just a unique function to how that works. Like, Privateer Press has not a broken game, but it's a little wobbly sometimes, and Games Workshop is building their actual game up, like the game part of it up.
Well, yeah, because they started exceptionally wobbly, and then they realized people hated that with a passion. So they said, well, maybe we should put some rules around our game.
You paid attention to the markets back then when Age of Sigmar first came out.
Oh, of course.
There-
People
there
were
was-
literally burning their
You
models.
don't even need to pay attention to the market. You just watch that YouTube video.
Yeah. So, it's, yeah.
I don't know. The War Machine at its wobbliest is still tighter than Warhammer at its tightest.
No, I understand. Like, Warhammer in general, the game, as I've played it, it's not tight, and it's just fun, and that's what I like about it. But whereas, if I want an extremely competitive game where I'm super invested in the game at every single second, then War Machine is where I want to be. It's just that it's hard to look at a competitive game like that when there's things that aren't quite balanced against each other. Like, there's definitely valleys and pits.
Well, the pro of being competitively tight is when it's competitively tight-ish. That ish really puts people off. Mm-hmm. And it's maybe that's fair, not fair, but I mean, because you get these. Well, then you have the people that embrace the ish. They go, oh, so I can take this gimmick list, because I mean they want to play the best possible thing at the time, and they don't have certain players have more money than other players.
Yeah.
So if a spam list happens to be super broken right now, and they can spend $300, and they're going to know, you know what, in 3 months this list is going to be errated and it's going to be fixed. But they're like, well, but for 3 months I can be a winner, and I like to be a winner.
Aren't those same people going to aren't those the same people who are going to bring a tree to Age of Sigmar and automatically win? Like, that's going to be in any game.
True, but because War Machine is so much more competitively tight, you kind of see, like, those people exist in every single game.
Yeah,
But
they
I
exist.
think because more people know when you go into Age of Sigmar you're going to deal with that nonsense. Like, there's just a higher percentage of that not acceptable thing, but in competitive War Machine you're like, okay, this game is trying to be competitively tight, so I should see less stupid nonsense that's trying to break it. So the rules should catch more of that nonsense, and as things sneak through, it just causes anger and angst.
Well, didn't the term min-maxing come from Warhammer event in the first place, like as a competitive term?
It was from fantasy. That was basically when you were running. I mean, I think I know the actual army it was. It was the Ogre Kingdoms, where you try to take as many, try to have as many minimum units that you have.
Yeah, and MSU
maximized.
is another one that came from the Warhammer world too. I think I think it's because my origin for War Machine is in Mark II, like in the middle of it. So I got to come into the game when it was pretty well oiled and tuned, and now seeing the beginning of Mark III, it makes me see that the min-maxing is starting to show up more in War Machine. Like, and maybe I just didn't notice it in Mark II because there was the Doom Reaver list, there was the Scar list. Like, it all existed. It's just that it wasn't as volatile, I guess, as it is now, because Privateer Press is open to changing, so we're forcing change almost from a social perspective.
And their approach going forward seems to be great. I really like what they're doing. I mean, their attitude now and their approach now with this playtesting and their occasional erratas is awesome.
Their erratas. This last errata pretty much told everybody, in a sense, that if you're playing a spam list, that's not what we really intended.
Yeah.
I mean, with the changes to the Winter Guard command list and the Una 2's just Una 2 in general herself just made it so, this is not as viable as what it was previously.
I'm curious if they'll do anything to Galvanizers / the Convergence list.
Same thing with my Durgan or all the gun bunnies.
Yeah.
Well, they did say though that, and I'll hold up myself on this one for a while, is just that the mercenary warjacks in general, because I've been playing mercs a lot more lately, and each list I build has a ton of jacks in it. I thought they had specifically said they had unbalanced those to make mercs a more palatable faction in general, because their infantry and solos were more balanced across the entire game, where they wanted to give mercenaries a leg up somehow, and that's how you get it. Unfortunately, it feels like that leg up's a little too good, but I'll maintain that the gun bunny spam is nowhere near a busted concept.
It's strong, but it has its counterplay. And its counterplay
have,
isn't extremely rare counterplay like it is for Una 2 prior to the errata, where there was maybe one thing per faction that you could do about her.
You'd have to tech into that
Right.
list, though.
Yeah, I mean,
You
if,
can
there-
just-
if every faction's, if you didn't have to go to extremes of counter nonsense, it's not as big of a deal. Like if every faction has a subtle way of dealing with someone's spam list, then if someone decides to go spam or some gimmicky
Right.
thing, that's just a risk they're taking when the world exists where there's a ton of possible things. But when you have to if you have to go to one extreme to cancel another extreme, then you're just sacrificing yourself for other.
What PP obviously desperately wants, and the reason why they won't do like FA3, despite people wanting it and claiming it's an easy fix, what they desperately want is for it to be an option to field 10 galvanizers or 15 gun bunnies or whatever, and for it to be good. Good. But it should be good to field 2 heavies and 2 units and some solos as well. And it should be good to do a colossal and this, that, and the other. Like, they all should be options. And they want spam to be viable, and they want you to be able to make a good spam list. But the issue is anytime there's a model that taking a second, third, or fourth instead of being additively good is multiplicatively good is where spam gets out of control.
Correct.
2... Mad Dogs was not twice as good as 1 Mad Dog. It was 2.5 times as good. And so by the time you got to 10 Mad Dogs, it was not 10 times as good. It was 50 times as good. And that's the problem.
Travis is in our chat. Travis, you have a con to pay attention to, so you should just go away and take care of your con.
That is true. They miss me. Thank you. I'm glad. I miss you too.
I don't miss Travis because he didn't invite us.
Wah wah.
I did nothing this weekend.
Well, it's just like
Nothing.
literally noon today is when he had people come over. So like you could have driven there, played 1 game of Warmachine, and driven back for this. Did you really want to do that?
I just driven there and flipped the table and left.
I think I've been barred from ever going to Travis's house. I think he said that I could never go there.
What?
Yeah.
You can't go to Travis's house?
It had something to do with me knocking over shelves or something.
Oh, no.
well,
yeah. Those shelves down there.
We had a conversation. I can't remember exactly what it was about, but I said
got a
I'd
resin
probably
slayer.
get drunk.
Oh, God damn it.
Yeah. I knew that would be a
Travis,
reaction.
Can I be your friend again?
Why what's
I just want
Andy wants one of those resin slate, like the
they've been
the
around
sculpt.
they've been around forever.
Yeah, I know.
But they don't exist anymore, other than out there.
Yeah,
Wow.
Andy wants one because he wants one for Who's the Boss to do
you
like
should
the
have told me all
fun.
those years ago. I had like 18 chances to get one. I just never did.
Son of a bitch.
Well,
Not to give away who's the boss, but to have it as like some kind of
Not to give
scenario.
away. I said not to give
Yeah.
away.
Just to
Yeah, to
collect
have
them.
at Who's the Boss to do your scenario, like the 50-foot
I
Haley.
didn't want one because it was a Slayer. I didn't really like it. I was like, it's a Slayer. I don't want that.
I was happy enough to grab the resin 5-inch Sorsha. Like that was like my crowning achievement. So I recently saw a bunch of the Gale Force 9 stuff going
I do
around,
have my
so-
3-foot tall Reaper from Overwatch. Put that in a scenario.
well, just make up. He's got Kane's feet, basically.
Yeah, very much. Or like 2-foot tall thing. That thing is monstrous.
Yeah, he got the Overwatch Reaper, and it's fucking huge.
Now I know why I paid hundreds of dollars for that stupid thing.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't go to his house; it was sleep at his house. That was the problem. I couldn't
Oh.
sleep there.
I slept at his house. I was on the top bunk in bunk beds. I felt like I was 8 years old,
I
or in prison.
True story. Bunk beds are troublesome.
They are.
I feel obligated to pee when you're not back just to pee on it. Like it just seems like a rule.
Top. I mean, it's torn. In prison, top bunks. You're not going to get shanked.
Yeah.
Because it's more difficult to stab somebody who's 6 feet up,
Yeah.
versus the guy that's down at knee height. But it's tough on your knees jumping down every day.
Yeah, it's true.
So just if you're ever in prison, that's what you gotta weigh.
it's good to know. I should plan for my future.
Yep.
When I was younger, my brother and I had bunk beds, and then I think it lasted for a week before I got the top bunk because he did roll right out of it once. That was fantastic. Probably
had
one
the
of the best.
slat?
No, they didn't. They didn't have the. This was like some old 1940s bunk bed, and it just didn't have any guardrails or anything. So that was probably one of my favorite.
That's how they made sure the
memories.
kids lived.
Weed out the weak ones.
Yeah, exactly. This day and age, we got railings, and we got like bungee cords and everything holding kids into bed. Wait,
Duct tape.
Yeah. I will say just one other ATC thing I was looking here. I sent multiple emails out to one member of each team, and it was by default it was the person whose email was tied to the payment at PayPal. But so make sure if you're listening and your team hasn't gotten an email, you should check because you should have gotten one. 2 actually, you should have gotten 2, and a third one will be coming today. Half the teams have responded to the email, and half of them haven't. So I'm worried about the half that haven't.
Well, respond, you sons of bitches.
That also is true.
ATC in the house. What?
Licking balls.
Yeah, one of the things I could say about the ATC is that it's not hard to find places to eat, but it's hard to find like fun places to eat. And I'll always give a super broadcast for Tally's. It's just this like bar restaurant place that's pretty close to the hotel, I think.
Yeah.
Just
fairly
find-
close.
Just find Brian.
Well, we're catering the lunches,
Yeah.
so it's only dinner you have to worry about.
Well, and that's where you go. I mean, they have cheap beer and good food. They have this Wisco burger. It's basically like 2 pieces of garlic parmesan bread that make a burger. It's fantastic.
Ooh.
Sounds yummy. Yummy to the tummy. Zappity.
I don't think we have any of those.
We had one that was in the chat. I don't know if you tweeted out for people to ask, but we had one that was in the chat, and I wrote it down. So we can just make it a topic, I guess, or we can just talk about John Wick for a little while.
Yeah, John Wick was fun.
Everyone here saw John Wick 2?
Yeah, that movie was pretty, whatever.
Sure, fair.
John Wick 2, spoilers.
He shoots
Big
people in their
spoilers.
heads. One guy he shoots in the head twice.
Not just one guy.
Well, there's one guy who isn't dead after the first one. Some people he
Correct.
shoots in the head a couple times
Correct.
just to be certain, but there's one guy that lives through being headshot, so he has
Yep.
to be shot again.
Yep, when you are 500 pounds, you can take just about anything.
Yep.
Even when you're fat in the head.
Yeah, we don't actually really. There's not many technical spoilers for that film.
He shoots a lot of people.
He shoots people, and he shoots a lot
Well,
of
it
people.
was nice because it starts. I mean, it starts off.
It's a
kinda-
slow burn.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have an action scene. It talks about an action scene.
Yep.
Then it settles down, and then like the plot unravels to what he has to, what's going to happen, and that takes about I'd say 25 minutes of him prepping to do a thing. And that's, I mean, it's very interesting. It's him traveling. It's him interacting with like other parts of the underworld.
A
type
lot of
thing.
mythos building, because we all talked after the first movie about how interesting the whole concept of, the Continental and this assassins
Guild.
guild, like they have their own society. It's more
Yeah.
than just a guild, and they have their own currency. They have like that was all, and they dug into that even more this episode.
I'm glad that they didn't shove it. The spoiler alert, they didn't shove it down your throats.
Yeah.
They just let you live it with them. They didn't say
Yeah.
like
Which
this
is so much more enjoyable in
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
many ways.
Yeah.
You could have someone just stand and start the camera to give you exposition for 20 minutes, but
Correct.
it's literally just him just doing things naturally, which for the viewer you just see unravel then.
Yeah.
And then once so you get action scene 20-ish minutes of like things happening that isn't action, but then once the action turns on, it's nonstop and then your standard John Wick fucking insanity action.
Yes.
The choreographed violence of John Wick movies is one of the most beautiful things in the world.
Yeah.
I like the fact though
They're willing to, yeah.
as well as they establish rules of this world, and there's no exceptions made, even though this is the main character of the film.
Like people like them, but there's still rules.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which I like that a lot because it's so annoying is when you have the main character in a sense have such plot armor that I could do anything.
Yeah.
And no, there's rules and yeah.
Yeah. The preparation was fun to watch for the first big run.
The Sommelier scene,
Yeah.
which is fun because the first movie wasn't like there's the violence, but they didn't have the gun porn, where people know specific makes and models of guns and this. Like I'm not that huge into guns, as a lot of people are, but they had that scene specifically for people who like buy Guns and Ammo magazine and jerk off over it. Like they're like, let's talk about this AR-14, blah blah blah, and you're like, oh yeah,
AR-15.
talk about it more. Oh, an AR-15, see?
Yeah.
Ooh, they had the 15 in the movie, not the 14.
Well, I mean, and even it's like so. In like the first scene's fun because it's like he's setting up a kill scene. So it's like him setting. So obviously he does his kill, but then it's like he has all this weapon he's planted everywhere. So as he's backing out, he just keeps going through his arsenal of weaponry and he keeps switching, which is just fun to watch.
It's like in I don't think it's Hard Boiled. I think it's a different John Woo film, but where there's a place he's going to attack, and he's just walking through like the previous scene, and they don't go into why you're doing it. And I just felt kind of dumb, but like he's just walking on, and every once in a while he just drops a gun into a potted plant, like in this hospital, and I'm like, why is he just dropping guns? And then like 2 scenes later, he's murdering everybody in this
No, I think
hospital,
that's
and he's running around and grabs a. Is it in Hard Boiled?
I think it's
See, I thought it was Hard Boiled, and I mentioned it to my brother, and he told me I was wrong, and it's from a different movie, but.
it's hard. I mean, I haven't watched it.
But so he's just running and shooting. Like he turns on the corner and grabs a gun out of this potted plant because conveniently he left it there.
Yeah. And then they did a good mix of fight scenes. I mean, obviously it's insane gunplay, but he gets some pretty good brawls. And then it's even like the weapon, like in John Wick, in first John Wick, it's mostly just pistol play. In this movie, he's got the rifle play, he's got some shotgun action, he's got all
Some
sorts
knives,
of knives, pencils.
A fucking pencil.
No, not there were 2.
I think it's one.
I think it's
one
two.
was not removed.
Yeah.
But the fact,
I thought, okay, maybe either way.
That was my
when
my
the
big
camera
gripe.
pans and you see a pencil on the
Yeah.
table, the audience just like all orgasmed at the same time because they knew what was coming.
yeah, it was very well done. And then some of the sequences just they shot them in such interesting locations too that it made every fight scene was unique because of where they filmed them and how they did them.
And the Honest trailer talked about this with like, so, sorry, I'm writing here. Liam Neeson jumping that goddamn fence in Taken 2.
Yeah.
You know, that scene that people make fun of where he jumps up,
Better Tomorrow.
is Better Tomorrow, okay. Liam Neeson jumps a fence, and in the course of a 2-second him climbing a fence, there are like 23 camera angles.
Yeah, it's-
like it cuts for every frame, and it's like, Jesus Christ, you're just jumping a fence. Like, you don't need that. I get that he's
It
old.
is Liam Neeson jumping a fence, though.
So you need 3, right?
Yeah.
You need him have him start to jump upward. His feet don't even have to leave the ground. Then you have shot 2, which is the stunt person going over the fence. Then you have shot 3, which is Liam Neeson squatting as if he had just landed.
Yeah.
And then you continue with your film. You don't need 17 camera angles.
It's probably because Liam Neeson's did it himself.
Maybe, okay, and he broke his hip 17 times.
Yeah, you want to make sure you capture every angle
was
for
an
insurance
amazing-
purposes.
It was an amazing amount of camera angles.
But the fights at like John Wick, like they're like, here's our shot, and there's 2 people punching and stabbing each other, and we're gonna be here for a while.
Yep.
And it's not shaky. It's not like the camera is a foot away from somebody's face, zoomed in, so you can't see anything. They let you see what's happening.
And I love the comment in the Honest trailer. I didn't know films were allowed to do that anymore.
Yeah, that was illegal.
But yeah,
But it's
to see action. It's good violence, which is always hilarious because violence shouldn't be good, but it's done so well. Then the fact that the camera work is done so well and the choreographic is, just everything about it is just so.
Well, and
It's
everything's
such a-
well directed too. You know, like they're attractive films. The shots and stuff are pretty to look at. It's not just dumb action.
It felt like it was actually pulling from actually a lot of different films. The whole fight sequence that happens between Cassian.
Yeah,
Common.
yeah, Common.
Common.
No,
But I mean his actual character's name was like
We'll go with
Cassian or
Common.
something.
Yeah, it was Cassian.
Yeah. But the fight scene there, it felt because it was
Which
just,
one?
Well, yeah, both of them because they all tied together fairly well.
They
But
Live.
it felt so much like They Live.
Yeah.
It felt like the scene between Piper and
Keith David.
Keith David. I almost said David Keith, but he's not an artist.
I like how John Wick sometimes doesn't kill people. Like he when he kills people,
Yeah.
he's always fucking headshotting and being efficient. But
Correct.
occasionally he's like, you know what, that guy doesn't have to die.
Well, it's like the whatever spoiler. The first action scene, he doesn't kill a single person.
Yeah.
You know, and
Towards the end he does.
no,
The brain guy.
he doesn't. He kneecaps a guy.
But he shot the guy in the head twice.
Yeah.
That's the only guy. Everyone but one person. He only killed one person.
I don't remember him killing anybody in the first
The big
sequence.
fat guy who he killed. He shot him in the head, and he shot him in the head again.
No,
That was later on with all the assassins.
The wrestler.
when he's getting the
Oh,
shower.
that's later
You're
on.
right,
At the
you're right.
very,
Yeah.
very
Because it
beginning.
was
Yeah,
just
you're
a
thinking.
kneecap.
Yeah,
You're
the big
right.
guy in the first one, he just shoots in both knees.
But no one else can
But
kill
the
him.
first fight scene, he purposely doesn't kill anybody because he's there for a purpose, and that purpose includes not killing people.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like it's neat to have that. Yeah.
My favorite sequence of the film, again, felt like it was took from the Enter the Dragon, the whole fight sequence in the mirrors.
Yeah.
I want to know how they did that because there is no shot of a camera in any of those mirrors, and all the action shots are really dynamic throughout there. It is a really intensely good sequence overall. It's so good.
So Ruby Rose, like, she looks like a man, and she is goddamn hot, and I had an erection every time she was on camera. So am I officially gay? Like, I don't know how sexuality works, legally speaking.
We'll find out after we
It's an
watch.
important question. No reason, but I do need to know the answer. To
I
that.
feel like Zap Brannigan in that episode of Futurama. You know, we're like, oh, thank God you're a woman. Yeah, because the whole time I'm like, man, yeah, Justin Bieber's hot. I would definitely.
Well, I swear to God, I thought when I saw the first trailer for John Wick 2, I thought it was Justin Bieber. 100%. I just thought that was Justin Bieber.
Yeah.
And I'm
Well,
like, man, he's hot.
You just think back to the time when Hollywood showed you a video during one of the Clusterfuck-a-paloozas.
I was gonna get. We had a conversation very
Yeah,
similar to
sure.
that on the way back from Warmachine Weekend.
Ruby, yeah, like, it's just weird.
I think one of the things that I enjoyed most about the film, like just completely, was definitely the assassin society thing they have going on, but the prominence of tattoos in that society was what really got me, because right now, like, as a person who grew up in the early parts of tattoo culture and how it was its whole subculture, and people connected just based on what they looked like because they knew they kind of had like the same flow, right? Same personalities. Now tattooing is so much more more widely accepted in commonplace society, so you don't get that so much anymore. So being able to see it play out on the screen was really cool for me.
Well, to have the Continental be staffed entirely by ex-Suicide Girls in Rosie the Riveter cosplay.
Yeah, fantastic.
I don't like, this goes to the subtle thing you were talking about, Andy, but I like one thing that Raylene mentioned that she really liked, as far as it goes back to like Furiosa's arm, how nobody in the movie ever mentions Furiosa's arm. You just know that she has a fake arm. It's just a fact of her life. In that opening sequence, we see them like smuggling stuff, and there's drugs and there's money, and then there's these weird oak boxes, and then later on you see people working with those oak boxes, and they're filled with the assassin coins, and that's it. So like, oh, okay.
Yeah, got it.
Like, it wasn't important. It didn't matter. It's just a little detail of the mythos, and I got it through a little background thing.
Yeah, they didn't have to tell us, like, hey, we put the coins in the boxes.
Then these guys were smuggling the coins. That's how we get them there.
And that's where I think, like, another world movie, this is a completely different style of movie, but they tried to make a mythos, but they shoved it on your throat too much. Like the second...
Matrix?
No, that's more ridiculous.
Jupiter Ascending?
Well, that's... the one with the guy with the no hair, and he's dark, you can see at night...
Oh, Chronicles of Riddick.
Yeah, the second movie
with all the necromongers.
Yeah, Chronicles of Riddick, like they expand the universe a million times, and it could have been interesting. And to me, it was a little bit interesting, but they didn't. But instead of making it like this, just it's happening. They spend so much time talking about it versus just being a thing.
Yeah,
they Lady in the Watered it, where they just kept talking and talking.
There's such a variance you can do. I think the John Wick movies are the perfect way to get a mythos built. Even Mad Max, the perfect way of doing it. Those are the movies that do it right.
Yeah,
they immerse you in the world.
And it's hilarious because it's made by the directors of these movies are stuntmen, and you would expect them to be more about the actual action and more about that. And so I can get like the camera work to show off the fights, but for them to also be so mythos oriented, and it's just oddly artistic for people you'd expect to be function minded.
Yeah, I just...
Maybe it's just me underestimating people based on what their job is, but I would just thought, that it's like if a dishwasher opens a restaurant, I expect the dishes to be really clean. I don't expect anything else out of them because that's what they know. And so I'm just shocked to find out they're also an amazing baker.
I feel like you're racist for saying that, but I'm not sure why.
And the dog lives.
Yeah, there's no dog mortality in this.
Apparently, like every interview before this movie that Keanu Reeves has done, he's pointed out because they ask every time, and he's like, "The dog lives. Calm down."
Well, and I know people who like have pit bulls, and they're like, if they kill a pit bull, we're gonna riot.
Well, and
it's a touchy. That dog is pretty adorable.
There was somebody like a month ago on my Facebook feed who said that he went to watch John Wick and the dog died, and so he just turned it off because he doesn't like that kind of thing. It's like, fuck you.
Well, we've told this. Did
we tell this story on air?
Well, Katie's story when because we were watching John Wick at Shay's house.
Yeah,
we start the movie. Were you there for that?
Probably.
We literally start. It's me, Jeremy, and like two other people. We start to watch John Wick, and we're watching John Wick, and then Katie walks down after the credits start, and all she sees is, Keanu Reeves is sad about his wife dying. He gets a puppy. She's like, this is like, why are you guys watching this like guy overcoming his wife dying and getting a puppy? You don't have to crowd for this, but she doesn't really say much. She's just watching, and she's like, a puppy and sad Keanu Reeves.
Daisy.
And then suddenly they come and they fucking kill the puppy, and she's like, what the fuck are you people watching? You sons of bitches. She's so fucking furious at us and we're like, and of course we.
But it's so perfect, like if they just steal his car, you're like, man, he's a little overboard for a car. But once they kill a puppy, you're like, oh no, anything's okay. I mean, you can do whatever you want.
The puppy,
John.
And obviously, it doesn't matter a lot. But the puppy is dead wife that died, a day ago.
Yeah.
But so all she knew was his wife left him the puppy, and then it dies, and she's just so fucking mad. Like, don't worry, keep watching, you'll understand.
Yeah, you know who else is so fucking mad? Yeah. John Wick.
Exactly.
Did you guys see Dog Wick? Somebody posted it on our Facebook feed.
Yep, I saw that.
Dog Wick.
Yeah, it's the same, like, imagine the intro to John Wick,
Yeah.
but when they break into the house, they kill John Wick
Yeah.
instead of the dog, and so then the guy's like, you know who you killed John Wick's dog's owner, you fool, and then the dog's, like, running around with a gun in its mouth and just headshotting people. Yeah, it's exactly John Wick, but the dog murdering people instead of him. It's great.
Isn't there shots of the dog, like, running up to people and his, like, tail is wagging, and then the headshots?
Yeah, absolutely. This dog was so happy to be filming this movie. You know that gun had like peanut butter on it. He's like, "Oh boy, I have a gun," and then just CGI'd in blood. But it's hilarious.
I did not see that.
Oh, it is great.
We can watch it after the
Dog Wick. That
before.
sounds amazing.
Oh no, you gotta leave.
You
gotta
killed
leave to
John
reserve a
Wick's
room.
dog's
Yeah,
owner.
it's technically 5:30, not 6:30, because I was off by time. It's
Oh,
fine.
you're at 5. Okay.
But I mean, I'm just going to be on the waiting list, so it's not like I need to rush to get a hotel.
Yeah,
I can't get, so
when
I'll leave. But
Mine's at 5 or at 9 tonight. I'll sign up for the waiting list too.
Oh, yeah.
If anybody's got a hotel close,
yeah,
wanna lend us use?
yeah, I'm. Yeah.
I mean, it would have to be by ourselves because it'd be myself, Brian, and then our friend Chris and his wife. So
Pshaw.
we wouldn't be sharing with somebody else though. So if you have a reserve that you want to give up,
Sure.
If you went through all the work and got a room and love to give it to us, we'll take it.
yeah.
But it better be a good room downtown, double attached. We have very strict requirements for our way of life.
No, that's the other thing though too is Jim brings up if you want to, and I always say this in Warmachine before I kill off the Kador's dog, is that if you want to prove to the audience that you are the bad guy, you kill the dog.
Yeah.
That's what you do, and so I shoot that Kador dog, and I prove that I am the bad guy.
Well, and that's what I'm saying.
every
Like,
time.
it justifies everything he does.
Yeah.
Like you said, if these people kill his wife, if they kill his kid, you don't even like when you kill a puppy, all bets are off. Like, he's allowed to do anything.
Every horror movie that starts and the family has a puppy, you're like, well, that's going to be an unfortunate scene in about a half an hour. Yeah. He's just like, well, this is uncomfortable now.
Well, unless it's friggin' Independence Day with its fireproof magic dog.
Yeah, golden retrievers are immune to fire.
Yeah.
Jumping through, yeah.
It's not how fire works. The fire didn't notice there was a room there. It ran past and didn't go through the door because that's how fire works.
Okay, yeah.
Stuff like that in movies. We were talking about like building an environment. Stuff like that actually defies science. Annoys the fuck out of me.
I can't be bugged by that scene because it's Independence Day. The movie's ridiculous on a cheesy level, but in general, yes.
Fire, like firefighters with big cement blocks holding back a giant pool of lava, leaning over the side of the cement blocks, spraying water onto said lava.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lava's only hot if you touch it. That's why ovens don't work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Duh.
Yeah. If hot air was hot, ovens would work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, given that you put in raw cookie dough and it comes out still as raw cookie dough, not as cookies, we know that air doesn't possibly get hot enough to burn or cook things.
Or that you don't know how to use an oven.
Fair.
The burner's on, but for some reason, everything inside is not doing a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Oh, well.
Yay. So, I don't know. Any more Zappities?
Well, there was the one Zappity Grumble, which we can bump up here, which the guy was saying it was Grand, our Epidus Nemo, somebody with Nemo as their thing in the chat, asking about the fact, because they revealed that the new Hordes faction is going to be limited release a la Convergence of Cirrus.
Yep.
And what is our opinions on this?
I think it's great.
I agree. It means that I will just go ahead and buy the entire faction and own it, as opposed to being like, yeah, I don't need another faction and not buying any of it.
Well, because I'm a faction. If I get into a faction, I need it all. It's hard for me. The idea of buying 2 casters in a list doesn't really work for my brain. So getting into other factions is a pretty huge investment. We're getting into Convergence is like, well, that's not that bad.
Yeah.
Or getting into this new faction isn't that
You
bad.
drop $1,000, you own everything Convergence full FA. You know what I mean? Like, you're done. One and done, out.
I think the big reason why it's more okay now is because we know what they mean when they say limited release.
To be fair, I knew what they meant the first time. I'm still confused by people who...
Well, no, I mean, like,
people in the
use-
Convergence think, like, when are we going to get our new stuff? And it's like, maybe never. How are you surprised by this?
I guess when you use the word limited release, like, that word limited isn't clearly defined. Like, somebody might say, okay, well, yeah, maybe I won't get anything this year, but maybe next year I'll get something in that book.
Hey, they got a second Colossal.
I kind of agree with Brian a little bit on it. They basically said that they were not going to have.
They were not regular release.
They were not going to have regular release. So they left it open for people to think like, hey, when Wrath is released or when X book is released, yeah, maybe we'll get like a new model or something like that.
I mean, they're not on a rate. Like, new stuff has come out.
Yeah.
New stuff probably will come out. It's just, it might be once every couple of years you'll get a model. Like, they said they wouldn't get stuff every book, and people took that to mean as, oh, you'll only get one thing every book instead of the 5 things everybody else gets. And the answer is no. They said you won't get anything.
Yeah.
Like, but I can get being excited for your faction and wanting stuff more frequently, but it is what it is.
It's limited, and now we know. Now we know the true definition of limited because we've lived it for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
We had a taste. Some of us had a taste back in Mark 1, Mark 2 with the privateer stuff for Mercs. So that was kind of the same. It was a slightly different concept, but then when they came with all the privateer stuff, because that got a very. It was like we're adding a bunch of pirates, and we may or may not add more pirates in the future. And they do occasionally.
Have they?
There's been a solo or two that's worked for them.
Yeah, I guess maybe.
Like, they've added
because the standard pirate boat with like Hawk and Doc and Bosun.
There's been one
and
solo
Dougal.
in the last couple of years.
There's the Devil Shadow Mutineers,
and then maybe I thought one other thing.
Maybe, but yeah,
it's been like 2 things total that has gone.
Yeah.
It only private, like the actual
privateers.
Yeah,
okay, that makes it.
Because
I was confused at first. I'm like, you've been here this whole time.
The 3 casters, right? Bart, Shay, and Fiona.
Yep.
And then you have Mariners and Freebooters and Buccaneers and Not Talents, just Mariners, Freebooters, and Buccaneers. And those 3 forever. Oh, the Galleon. I guess the Galleon is a new privateer thing.
Yeah.
But then Pressgangers and Sea Dogs, Riflemen and Walls, and Bosun, Hawk, Dougal, and Doc.
And those are all the initial.
That's all the initial.
Everything but the Galleon was initial. Then they added the
Devil Shadow Mutineer and the Galleon.
I thought there was one more solo. But
it was Bloody Bradigus part of the original. He was original. But yeah, so like if you only played pirates, it's very similar. You're right.
But you had to be around a long time ago to get used to that mentality. So that was well before you even got into the game.
Yeah.
You were out.
That goes with Cephalix now. If you want to play mercenaries just Cephalix, they're very contained.
With the exception that you can buy any of the units.
Correct.
So it's a little different. But I get your point. Yes, your point is very correct. But Mercs is weird because we're bringing up these Merc examples, and then you get stuff like there wasn't a new Searforge release for 6, 7, 8 years. They didn't come out with any new dwarf casters until Osram came out. No new dwarf units, no whatever, and it is what it is. Like they were focusing, they kind of cycle through. Like they did a lot of Leolese stuff, and then they did this, and then they did this, and they've had a lot of dwarf stuff recently because they did the Basher, they did Osram, they did the artillery crew.
Artillery crew is old.
Only a couple of years.
Yeah.
Only a couple of years. I mean, they were in Mark II.
Yeah.
Correct. The thing about mercenaries, though, is that with the Cephalix release, it was like that's a pact of like, or a pact, not a pact, but it's a section or a contract of the whole. So like Merc players, it's kind of why I'm really enjoying playing Mercs right now because I have so many problems drifting between factions. But now I can just say that I am a Merc player and I drift between all these contracts.
Right.
Yeah, the little sub-factions.
Yeah, that seems to fit well for your change of pace.
Yeah.
You could have many changes of pace and still stay Merc.
Contracts are dead, right? There's no 4-star
there's
highborn.
no
It's just
such
wherever you
thing.
want, just like Minions went to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that you can get into themes, and then
Sure.
the contracts are dead, but they're kind of not dead. There's still like the ghost of them around because privateer casters can only take privateer jacks, and same with dwarves and stuff like that.
Yep.
Is that true? That's not true of privateer casters.
No,
Yeah.
they can take
They can
nomads.
take whatever they want.
Well, I mean, yeah, nomads, sure.
You're just thinking because coup de main only affects privateer, so Shay
I
only
guess
wants
I've been
privateer
living in the
jacks.
I've been living in the freebooter box for a while. It's
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of little sub-factions in
But
mercenaries.
they do it with stuff like that, like coup de main,
the
making you
Commodore
want to
cannon
do
can only be
again,
taken by privateer
yeah,
models.
or they have animosity.
Yeah.
Minions does similar stuff with Carver's Feet only working on pigs specifically, so it makes you want to build a Thornfall list with him.
You can't take the other beast with him, though, can you?
No. The beasts are only like
Those
Gator
are
Cast
still
we do.
separated.
But anything unit or solo is fair game.
Like Midas, he can take Bone Swarms, though, right?
He specifically can take Bone Swarms, yeah, and Arcadia specifically can take Goraxes.
I found it weird in the Thornfall Alliance what models you can take, where it says Pharaoh casters.
Yeah, and Arcadius.
And Arcadius and Midas.
It's and Midas.
It's actually Midas is listed in there as well. Yeah.
Is it
'Cause I
because
built
the
the
rule
card.
for being able to put only Pharaoh models or like pig models under the caster, is that part of the Pharaoh Warcaster rule?
It is. It is.
And
Yeah.
that could be why he doesn't have it.
That he's not a Pharaoh Warcaster. He's just or a Warlock rather. He's just a Warlock who is also Pharaoh
Yeah.
and has I don't know.
That's just me shooting from the hip.
He
too,
might have his
so-
own. Yeah, because you're right. The Pharaoh Warlock rule says can only have Pharaoh War Beasts, and so he has some rule that allows him to take Bone Grinders. Whatever. It's probably just some workaround to allow him to bring Bone Grinders.
I also found it odd with the errata then too that also I can't think of a reason why, and probably somebody in chat may tell me. When they split up, they had Shield for Retribution's Theme Force. They had Shield models units,
Yeah.
and then they had that split up into Shield models or units, Shield solos, Shield battle engines.
Well, I think
Which is weird because if they don't have a Shield battle engine, that would still be included under Shield models.
yeah.
A solo is still a model, and a caster's still a model.
Well, what it does is it takes away Shield Jacks. It was Shield models / units. Now it's Shield battle engines and warrior models / units. So that section of the theme force no longer allows Shield Jacks.
Okay, that makes sense then.
But whether they're allowed by nature of being bringable with the Warcaster would make that irrelevant anyway. But to me, that's what that wording would do. Is instead of just saying anything, they specified battle engines and warrior models and units.
It also,
there you go.
yeah, it also gave Ret players a hope for another battle engine.
The point is, I'm going to buy this entire new faction because it's going to be not a pit.
No, they actually, because that was also in their Shield non-character warjacks, Shield
Sure.
solos, units, and battle engines.
Yeah, so they split it up for some
It
reason.
might have just said everything, but then not battle engines. I'm not 100% sure.
It didn't say battle engines before, but that would still be covered underneath
Model.
The models.
under model
yeah.
part of.
So who knows?
No,
Some weird linguistic future-proofing / legalese loophole closing.
As long as the new the release for the new faction doesn't have the same kind of production issues that the Convergence ones had, I think I'd be a little bit more interested in seeing it. But those rustic in bunny ears models that Convergence had were just rancid.
Well, that was just because that's when they were first switching to that
Yeah.
stuff, right? Like, they unfortunately were the first.
They weren't the first. I think the Fen Blades were among the first.
Yeah. Well, they were... Okay, so they're amongst. Plus the small detail. Yeah, those light jacks in the Convergence battle box.
It was also
Those fucking legs and arms
when-
were so tiny.
when they
Brian's
got,
in a coma.
from my understanding, when they got approval of the molds and stuff, that when they got the pieces, but when they got the pieces, they looked fine. But when they sent them back to run them, to spin them, or whatever they were doing with them, they were all put in at the same time. So you have heating issues too. So then you have all those like monitor arms all being warped out a little bit, while other pieces look just fine.
I think we've still got a gimpy obstructor that's like the joint between his foot and his thigh is missing.
I have to leave in 5 minutes.
Okay.
I recommend Voltron.
Voltron, defender of the universe.
I recommend John Wick 2.
I recommend Jen kind of get more space.
And move back to Milwaukee.
No, it'd be even worse.
I'm afraid it's gonna. I mean, it has to move. I'm afraid it'll move to a coast and then it'll be useless. It has to. It probably has to move, but I don't know if there's anywhere in the
It needs to
Midwest.
stay... Yeah.
I mean, Chicago is the only possible big city in the Midwest that could possibly take it. I mean, Chicago's, but I don't know if that's a good idea either. But I mean, I can't think of a Midwest city that could handle it. I just don't know.
I don't know. Maybe it just needs to die.
No, I mean, it's and that's not. It can't die. It's getting more and more popular. It's just,
Nope, kill it.
I mean,
Oh, the reason why that Midas is not on there is because, or is mentioned specifically because he does not have the Pharaoh.
Right, like you're saying, because
Rule
he's got
itself.
some special rule.
He is a Pharaoh warlock, but he doesn't. They call out specifically have the Pharaoh commander rule for the theme force.
Gotcha. Yep.
So he doesn't have that. So
He's got his own special thing.
yeah, Pharaoh warlock special rule. All right. My recommendation: you should watch the new season of Always Sunny.
Yeah.
It is. Every episode has been the best.
it's been a very strong season.
Yep.
Santa Clara diet's pretty funny on Netflix too.
Yeah, I've heard it's good.
It's my secondary recommendation.
Did you do a primary recommendation?
Gen Con should get more room.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So if you're in charge of Gen Con and you're listening, get more room.
And then if you're not in charge of Gen Con, for everyone else, watch Santa Clara Died. It's pretty funny. It's a mime. I'm a huge fan of Timothy Olyphant, and I like him in comedian comic roles, and he's just very funny in this. So that's why I think it's great.
So sorry for the short episode.
It's been an hour and a half.
No, it hasn't.
It felt like it's been forever.
No, it's been just over an hour. So sorry about the short episode, but a lot of us were needing to set up a hotel space for.
I need to
for
set
Gen
up,
Con.
I'm basically going to grab a room that's 7 miles away, and then put on the waiting list, and then either get pushed downtown by June or canceled by June. So
Yeah.
but I got to go through the process.
Yep. All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
We love you. Bye.
Oh, I haven't actually. I'm not ready yet.
The February errata was really good.
Oh yeah, that was one thing that we could have talked
We all
about.
agree. Everything about
Brian,
the
you could
February
leave,
errata
but we
was
could
good.
talk about it.
I don't care. They read it. Suck it, Una. There's the errata.
Haha.
Well, I mean, we could actually talk about that. And you could.
I am always willing to leave when we talk about errata. That's like a general rule of errata. Like, anytime, talk about all the errata you want, I'll just walk out.
Yeah.
Good. See, we win.
So the good thing about the Una 2 change...
I'm also going to fart on my way out. Just like as a gift.
Can you do it over toward the door more? Not just... Oh, you're going to stop and fart right behind me. I fucking... Okay, at least you did it over there.
Still happening.
So I want to die.
I have to pee though too. So.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You go pee. Fine. You and I are the two that like to talk about War Machine anyway. The Una 2 change was great because not only did it make it so you had to have... Like, so many lists couldn't get around the immunity to melee. And so that was the frustrating negative play experience. Like, there's nothing wrong with her alpha striking, right?
Yeah.
Like, fuck yeah, alpha strike. Get all up in my ass, kill some shit, enjoy your flanking. But the inability to have any reprisal was what was the negative play experience. And getting rid of that was great. It also means that Kaya 3 isn't just a shitty version of Una 2.
Well, and it also made it so that she can't do it and be completely safe from any real threat. Like, Una, the way she was, just had so many built-in defenses. I would say that I think that the Griffins might need a little bit of a leg up now. Maybe not even the Griffins so much, but I think the Rotterhorn and the other Griffin those ones are a little rough. But I think Una 1 might need like Field Marshal Long Leash, because I think she's the one who kind of suffers for it the most. Like losing Long Leash from the Scarsfell.
Oh, sure, because...
She's only got like an 8-inch command or control.
Sure, that I can see.
So that's...
8? What?
Una 1.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So little Una, I think she could... I think that they should have just made that a simultaneous thing, as just give her Field Marshal extended or Long Leash or whatever the hell it is.
So. baby Una gets field.
I would
extended?
like that.
That's what he was
because they
saying.
took it off of the Scarsfell.
You're one person. I don't know why I said they. But yeah, that's what he was saying, is if Una 1 got like Field Marshal Long Leash so that she could be...
A Storm Raptor could tear the table up from 18
None of the other
miles away.
lessers get to be 16 inches away from things, right?
But they also don't have Speed 8 War Beasts.
Well, so they can crisscross, right? They can listen, you.
Yeah.
Well,
even the Archidon Speed 7, like...
I don't believe that.
Brian is kind of Speed 8.
Sure.
Jim is suggesting that the Razorwing Rotterhorn just needed that third attack. I don't think that's the case. I honestly don't believe a lesser should have those 3 basic attacks on there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they come at a pretty big premium.
All 3 of the Griffins are currently pretty fair for their price points, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just that there's this weird, and maybe that's just Circle's issue in general, is that like if it's Warp Wolf Megalith or Bust, which at Wold Weird too now, but the goats are some of my favorite models in that whole faction, and they're just hot garbage.
Hey, I super like the one. What's the one with the
Shadowhorn, the
no.
Riphorn, and the Gnarlhorn?
Yeah, I think it's Gnarlhorn that has Counter Slam.
Yep.
And his Animus is no knockdown, right?
I think Counter Slam. I know for sure.
Yeah, because that guy with the Admonition caster, Tanith, right? So she gives him Admonition, and he uses its Animus on himself, and if you get within 6 inches, he slams you. If you get all the way up to him, he backs away and then slams you. Mm-hmm. You can't knock him down or stationary him to avoid these things. I mean, that's pretty sexy.
It is nice.
The Gnarlhorn with Tanith is legit.
He has a cute trick that's good with a caster. I'll
He's,
agree.
I mean, he's also probably one of my favorite circle models too. Just in general, I like the look of that kind of like Minotaur.
The rolled horn thing.
Yep.
When I had painted a circle army for a local a while ago, and I decided to do like a white satyr because I had magnetized it so they were all three there, and I figured white would be a cool looking color. And then like he went with the really traditional like circle green, and then I had like some red highlights or something, and the horns started to look orange on that one, and I called him what was it? Winter Green O'Grady, because like the Gnarlhorn satyr just looks Irish. Looks like a drunk fighting Irish guy.
He's actually
So he looks like an Irish guy.
he's pretty
basically,
cheap.
yeah.
I'm allowed to say that I'm half Irish.
They aren't pricey. It's just they're pillow fisted as hell. Like I think,
Yeah.
like
Right, but aren't all your beasts like?
I don't know,
Even
like
the warp
the-
wolves. I guess they can warp strength to
yeah,
make up for it.
That's
right?
where you get that takeaway is that if it's not a warp wolf, it's not really punching heavy. The shadow, the
My beasts can warp
are
strength, but they have to pay a fury and take damage.
Yeah. So
Fuck you guys.
They're a third more in price than Gnarlhorn.
What are?
Just a Feral Warp Wolf.
Yeah.
The Feral's 18,
What's a Gnarl? 12?
12.
Yeah.
it's not terrible. I mean, it's just I don't
12's pretty
see them
goddamn
getting
cheap.
a lot of work done.
He's a 12-18, so I mean he's got
A little tanky.
What's he got?
And
Like
for-
14s
15-14. 15 horns
and a pair of 14s.
and then a pair of 14s.
That's pretty. That's not bad. 3 initials.
It's just not going into like usually you want heavies into heavies,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
that's just he's not going to do. He's always going to come up short. The other thing that I think was good about the errata was like the adjustment of the theme forces. I'm happy they didn't touch Kingmaker because I just like Kingmaker right now.
I don't think there's anything really inherently wrong with Kingmaker. I mean, that's what would you say would be a problem for that list?
I think it's the Buccaneers' existence that makes that list a problem because
Yeah.
people get a little tilted when they can't shoot your caster at all. If
But
you're
there's
just
nothing you
dangling
can
in front of
do
them.
about the Buccaneer. Like you either
Exactly.
ban the Buccaneer or you take
Oh.
away the whole Feign Death thing. Yeah.
It's the combination of those.
Have you
two.
not been doing that?
I haven't even thought of that. So yeah, you just
bring a Buccaneer.
and just like, hey boss, take cover, knock
Yep.
it down.
Yep.
Okay.
The Buccaneers' primary
He's
position.
throwing a blanket over you to hide you from the enemy guns.
Yeah, like my character or my caster's a bird.
Yeah,
Like,
Buccaneer in the
nighttime.
back. Buccaneer in the back, boosting to hit,
Yep.
knocking your ass over, making you immune to ranged attacks.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's
It's pretty
not-
rough.
That's not too bad. I mean,
The trade-off is that you're knocked down. So if they get something on you, you're probably going to die in melee. But
Like Magnus 2 feet
essence
turn,
of that
you know.
list is usually lots of infantry.
Yeah.
yeah. So is that what Travis was doing? In,
yeah.
the
Yeah, I
term?
think I've
Absolutely.
done it with Damiano. Like that's kind of
Okay.
been my cheese lately is bringing a Phyrexian list.
So I've been playing probably a weird list with Kingmaker. I don't know if it's good at all, but I've been having somewhat fun with it. Been playing Drake McBain
Yeah,
with 2 full units of Cav, 2 full units of Halberdiers. Ran with 3 freebooters and a Nomad. And then just all of the normal Stannis, Verandai, and Orin Midwinter.
Orin Winterwear. Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
No,
It's-
that list is so good, and the solos that it can take for free. Like I think people get a little pissy that Stannis is free, but then Stannis really doesn't do much for 7 or 8
Yeah,
points,
whatever.
9 points, whatever it is.
He does wonders when I can charge through all my steelheads.
That's if you utilize him that way. I feel like that's where you get a lot of work out of him. But as a singular thing, like he's just kind of meh.
yeah.
Dirty Meg has been like on fire for me lately. Like a stationary gun that's not element typed has been amazing. But pulling back the Khador theme force was interesting. I feel like they have it now where like it is the Winter Guard theme force that you bring Winter Guard with to do things, and you
Yes.
just have the Jacks moving up to support the Winter Guard with them since they're a little faster. Like I think that was their aim. And there was a glimmer of hope where I was like, okay, well, this is why they adjusted Karchev's stuff as far back as they did, because he was going to get this theme force that makes him interesting, or really hard to kill, too. and then they just kind of snatched it out. So I was a little upset about it, but
I honestly don't feel that they foresaw the use of a gun carriage being a sack pawn target.
Yeah,
I
or
don't think they foresaw
Just
that at
nobody in that building remembered it was a Winter Guard model.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, or that Old Witch could abuse the
Yeah.
the game that much with just advanced move.
all. Yeah, I mean, again, all this stuff here is going to be solved through the CID. What is it?
The CID,
community-
Community Integrated Development.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be solved through that. So I mean,
Exactly. It took one day to figure it all out. So
yeah, and I faced against that, and that was not fun learning that.
yeah,
But
when you get it was a gotcha thing, and then like if you are prepared for it, you can handle it because Old Witch is 14 inches away from you, 12 inches in most cases.
the nice part too is with that change to the Winter Guard theme is we might see like an all Kate or Jack spam list theme that could allow that in the future.
Yeah,
I mean, it feels the errata version of the Winter Guard command feels like that's what it should be. Is you're bringing Winter Guard, so then your
yeah,
Jacks
it's a
get
mixed
advanced
arm.
supply.
It's a mixed arms list, like it should be.
Yeah.
Not just an encompassing list of your entire faction.
I think I feel like the Kador book that we'll get is going to have like the Black Dragon and Doom Reavers as a theme force more so than
Probably.
Jacks, just because those were two prominent theme forces. Like not just in our meta because it was one guy who played them, but I think across a lot of different players, those were things that got brought quite a bit for theme forces. But the other thing about theme forces in the errata was like the errata to the Storm Division list, where they can bring Storm Callers for free now because that just makes sense. It's not necessarily great or bad. I mean, it's free 3 contesting models, and that's cool. But
I think they could bring it. I think they could bring them before, but they could only bring one of them because they're technically a solo. But you don't buy them in a one, so it's a weird thing where you could.
I didn't know they were Storm Guard because I thought that it was Storm Guard models and Stormsmiths were not Storm Guard models.
I don't know.
Because the Stormsmith Tower is.
I know David, who does ConflictChamber.com, said that he was glad about that change because he didn't realize you weren't supposed to be able to bring them, and so they were allowed on its website.
High Reclaimer. That seems like a perfect errata for something that's over the top because he got tooled back to where he's still effective.
Feels so weird.
But he's a little over, but he still works, but it's not that he's not ball breaking.
Sure. It feels so weird of people basically talking about the High Reclaimer being over the top, considering we've dealt with him in 2 different editions of the game, and actually High Reclaimer is Testament in the first one, but High Reclaimer was not really that great throughout the entirety of Mark II.
Back one, if you played 2 casters and had him and Harbinger, it was a hell of a combo.
Yeah.
Especially when she could be healed by Doc, and so she could martyr, and then just get healed, and
Yeah, just being able to waterfall command bubbles with that was pretty good. But I think the way the errata works now is you can't waterfall the command bubbles, and he also can't kill his own models that turn and get them back.
Right.
Yeah, which is fine. That's always been something that they've wanted to have is models that have activated or on that turn you don't get to use. That was like a Gatsby thing back in where you could just bile throw purge over your entire guys, and then you could just place them out even further.
But Gatsby can still do that. They just can't have activated.
Oh, really?
I mean, that's what his always were, models which have already activated.
Can't activate.
Right, not that have been killed this turn. So this is one step beyond that.
Yeah.
Because they stopped the double activation, but this stops even doing the bile throw purge on your own guys, which Gatsby still can.
Sure.
Well, and with High Reclaimer, you don't get a double activation anyways because you have to add to an existing unit. So if they already activated, they can't. But But it was, I think the math came out to like 31 inches or something like that. High Reclaimer could pop you from.
Yeah.
It was pretty intense.
You could top a 1. Like there was 2 or 3 different ways you could get at you at top of 1.
There is that. Speaking of top of 1s, there's the discussions over like the heavy metal theme force and Haley 2. How like they've just Privateer Press has once again buried themselves in a situation where they've got top of 1 assassinations coming from Signar.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I'm sure will need to get changed eventually. I mean, you solve it by deploying back an inch, and it's hard to come back from that, but I don't think it's impossible against Haley 2 on a live scenario.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to be changing how you actually deploy. I mean,
Exactly.
other than like where you're lining them up, you shouldn't have to change where you actually
Yeah,
deploy.
your
Your
distance.
deployment zone should be safe.
Yes. Yep.
Like the first round, it should. Speaking of live scenarios, there
Yeah, the whole,
only one scenario is surviving to the next steamroller.
and it is my favorite scenario in the packet. I love.
You're welcome.
I love recon so much. It is the most functional scenario in the entire thing.
I'm not even going to bother hiding how proud I am of Recon till the day I die. Fuck you.
It's just great.
There's
Like
not a lot of things that I'm happy that I contributed to this world, and Recon's one of them.
it just forces you to play the game a little differently. Like everybody's so like central, go forward, here's the thing in the middle, and then that's that. But like you can move to different flags and have different options during the game to break away from the middle or not deploy in the middle, and you have all three elements of the scenario happening all at once other than the fourth of kill box.
Yeah.
Which I think is perfectly fine. It's just a fantastically designed scenario.
We forgot to mention one of my favorite errata changes. I don't know if you mentioned it when I was in the bathroom. Cephlix.
Sammy.
So operating theater got Sam and the Devil Dogs. They can bring a warjack with them.
Yep, if you
A mercenary
dominate them,
warjack.
you can get a jack now because
Yep.
you couldn't before.
But the only issue with that is you're dealing with Sam and the Devil Dogs, and they're 18 points for a full unit.
Yeah.
And then if you want a decent jack with them, like if you want a nomad, that's fine. But that's an 11-point jack, or like if you're going to work with the mule or something like that, that's 15 points.
My favorite Jack to Marshall is the Mangler.
The Mangler's pretty.
The
Well,
Mangler, I
it's-
think, is the best Jack to Marshall.
That's all. That's 15 points.
Well,
so
and
you're looking
Cephalix,
at
though.
33 points. That's just that one small unit
a Jack, yeah.
and a jack.
Yeah. So maybe you just bring like a Nomad, or not a Nomad, I'm sorry, like a Buccaneer or a Talon or something.
Yeah, I'm
could
thinking like a
probably go with
mule
a
or a
min-
rover.
Yeah, or a min unit of Sam's. Min unit of Sam is only still 12 or 11, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a very pricey thing to bring in there. I guess it's. I'd almost still rather have another
Yeah, you can buy a
monstrosity.
monstrosity for that. It's not even. It's cute, but
But having access to a Buccaneer is nice.
Yeah, that has more range than your Subduer.
Although Marshall Buccaneer is janky as heck because they don't have the pseudo boost anymore.
They don't have the pseudo boost. I think they have the +2.
they have,
If
yeah,
they
they have
aim.
the +2 crusher thing if they aim. Or
Oh.
not crusher, but
Yeah.
But
I
they do
think
have
it's steady aim or something.
they do have reposition 5, so they have a better chance of getting into that position,
There.
and then getting shot
Yep.
off the table, and then
Well, that's life.
Thunderhead got a clean up on his words too, as far as the errata was concerned. I think it's just that he doesn't hit himself anymore with.
No,
his
it's that he
pulse.
doesn't target.
Okay,
He
yeah.
just goes pulse, and that way he doesn't have to be able to see stuff and things that are like auto miss if targeted or can't be targeted by range and blah blah blah. He gets around that stuff.
Yeah. I can't think of anything else. It seemed like the updates were very concise and were more problem fixing than anything.
Yeah.
I will say the thing that I really wish would come through a little bit more with these erratas, and it might just be because the CID hasn't happened. Errata.
You haven't flipped.
Errata is the plural, yes.
You've been
I
singularing the errata the whole time. You're like, this one errata, and now
I
it's
know.
erratas. And
Yeah,
you
yeah,
kill me.
I
Kill
know.
me, Brian.
I'm sorry. I'm not
Okay,
sorry.
I still love you. Oh, no, I don't.
I just wish they would have more buffs too, because like we had that whole preconceived like concept when they said they were looking at the bottom 5%. We didn't interpret it as looking at it as though we would look at it and leave it alone. It was more like we're looking at it because we intend on bringing those up really soon.
Right.
And I would like to see more bringing up and less, not less nerfing, but I would like to see some bringing up mixed in there. And it's just not very prominent.
Well, I just want
it's
fertilizer
almost
to be enemy
50-50 this
only.
time around. This errata is almost 50-50 because they have Thunder at it. I would consider that a buff. Mm-hmm. The High Reclaimer updated, that probably would be a nerf.
Yeah.
Darylis updated as a buff.
Oh, yeah.
That we did forget that. Forget Cricks, right? Yep. That's pretty decent one.
Speaking of Chris, there's 2 people in our area playing that stupid pirate theme force now.
Guess what I just ordered?
Yeah, well, that's
Some
fine.
pirates.
Well, guess what? I have been looking for a reason to play Jaga Jaga for
Yaga Yaga.
since I call her Jaga Jaga and I call Jarl Jarl.
The Jarl is the
Yeah, I go Jaga for her, and he's got a
No.
soft J, she's got a hard J. Anyway, it's GIF. Anyway, it's not. It's GIF. Amanda's wrong. But anyway,
graphical.
Gaga Gaga. I've been looking for a reason to play her since Mark III dropped. And
man.
in a meta without a lot of infantry, she suffers because her feat requires infantry to feed it. But she opens that pirateless mouth and shits straight down its throat so hard that if that thing sticks around, I am going to be playing her. Because not only does she have give my entire army magical weapons, so fuck your ghost pirates, but her feat RFPs, so fuck you double hard.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
feat and blow 20 or 30 pirates off the table and say, all right, your turn, bitch.
Yeah.
Ah,
Well, I think with the Ossian players being scared away from him because he's not ball busting anymore,
Yeah.
that's probably the most prominent Shatterstorm caster that was in the game because Sorsha 2 just doesn't quite do it for anyone. So I think like with him being scared away, that's one of the things that's allowing that theme force to really exist and function. Because I don't think like Crix has anything in its arsenal that you would pair with that list that Ossian would be technically afraid of. Because they don't do multiple. They don't spam enough heavies because they're not too costly. It's just that maybe they could. I guess if Morton Ember had terminal velocity still, that'd be really nice.
in Convergence, I have to rely on the fact that my Iron Mother list kills approximately 20 infantry per turn. So if he's bringing back, even at max die rolls, he's bringing back 12 a turn.
Yeah.
So I can hopefully win that race. But,
So- Speaking on that,
jaga jaga.
speaking on the iron or on the Convergence theme force,
Yeah.
I believe that the models that you bought should be the ones that you get your shield guard on, not on the generated models.
Fuck you.
I don't think
Bringing
they-
back 5 servitors every single turn.
Not 5.
You get 3 off of the battle engine,
Yeah.
then 2 off of an axiom, don't you?
you get
Axiom makes 1 a turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, still, you're generating 4.
3 of which immediately go away.
Well, in the the Teps.
He always
had,
could sack pawn
yeah,
to him.
He always had
So
something.
Yeah,
he
that's-
always could sack pawn. Now it's shield guard if there's something else near the tap. Okay, fine.
I think like the thing
At
about
least
the,
moms aren't solos, so you can't use
Correct.
hers.
Yeah.
Correct. But I think the wording should be the same for the generated ones.
Yeah.
But they're
That's
the same
bookkeeping.
type.
That's
Yeah.
bookkeeping.
Yeah.
Convergence theme force I think is all right just because they have so little
Yeah.
ability to react to the meta.
Don't take
So they
Hanukkah
kinda-
away from me.
They kind of have to be a question more so than an answer faction because they don't have the answers.
I haven't faced it yet, so I have nothing to really...
Guns fucked Convergence this whole theme for or this whole edition so far. So we need those shield guards.
Yep, because
Like, we
everything
have-
else got shot apart, and that's where Lucant was good when he got his regular spell
Yeah.
back.
Yep.
So that's why he was always in every competitive pairing.
Yeah.
So, do you know what they did specifically with the Pain Giver? Because that's the other...
I think I heard that it was a type, like some print runs had a typo. So it just, it didn't do anything. He is what he is.
Was it the Pain Giver Taskmaster? Or?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the change was on there.
I don't
just
know that there even
focused
was a
on
change,
the big ones. So. I think that's the errata in its entirety then.
Yeah, other than there was just the 4 theme forces that got updated. And that's,
I think I might start taking Ralik and a Mangler in
Raluk?
minion list. Raluk.
Yeah,
Him and a
being able to
Mangler.
get 2+2 mat on him for his for Crusher is really nice.
It's either +2 mat on his Thresher, which is great, or against like a heavy, you do the extra attack and +2 damage, and then you got 2 20s and an 18. That's going to hurt some shit. And because the Mangler charges for free. And then even if Raluk dies, like that fucker running around just wrecking shit is pretty good.
I had now that we're on Jack Marshall's, I took a list to screw around with while I was in Baraboo, but I did the Hammer Strike theme list, and I put Thor marshalling an Avalancher, and that is fantastic with Osram. That combination was just ridiculously good.
Does Thor still have Pronto as a drive?
He doesn't have Pronto. He just got his tune-up thing.
Okay.
So-
Because Pronto was so sick with a basher on him to let it move and then slam.
Yeah, with this one you get you have snipe on the avalancher, so
Yep.
aiming with him is a lot more palatable because he's shooting at 18 inches. So when you tune him up and also give him the hold steady aim or whatever that
Yeah.
order is, he's like shooting POW 18s
Yeah.
that are boosted on hit and damage. It's insanely ridiculous. Plus he gets the +2 to hit for aiming. He just like snipes out whatever he wants to, and with the auto knockdown, it's just fantastic. I love that combination. It has not failed me yet.
That's good, because I was just wondering, like, I haven't seen anything Jack Marshalled so far this edition.
When it comes to Kador, there's not anything at Jack Marshall. I can't think of putting anything on a Cold Unlord or Cold Unlords don't Jack Marshall anymore. I think the Covenant was what lost
the
Jack
Covenant.
Marshall. So I can't think of Jack Marshalling anything with them. Even with the I think the Mechanic UA still does, but he's got no benefit for it. He doesn't get anything out of it.
Yeah.
Power up is just, it's really hard to lose that, even though the Jack Marshalling abilities kind of double stack it, but having the option to do all those different things seems like it's really valuable. Plus the crits become a little bit more they become a little bit more effective.
Luke is hilarious because of his stupid drive. His drive
Is that
is
the
so
assault
dumb.
one?
His drive is assault, okay? Let's go down Merc Jacks with guns. The Buccaneer and Vanguard already have assault,
Yep.
so they're out. So that leaves, he can't take any of the dwarf ones, so that gets rid of all those guys. So then you have the Mariner that can only shoot if it's base to base with a friendly warrior model. So if he's going to assault, you need to run something up to where it's going to end its charge.
Yeah.
The Mule, which will assault into combat, get a crit, and knock itself down with its crit devastation.
Yep.
And then so literally only the Rover can even arguably benefit from the assault.
Exactly, and with Shield Guard, you also have some anti-synergy playing there too, because it's not really, unless you plan on having something end up that's really valuable next to him, it's not really going to get you much out of it having your Shield Guard assaulting into things.
I guess Luke also has assault, so he could drive the Mariner and then assault something, and then the Mariner can assault and fail charge ramming into him, and he'd be the loader, and it can shoot.
He could do that.
They need to lose the loader on the
Loader's
Mariner.
stupid. Loader and Lance are the worst rules in the game.
Yes. Well, no.
How much does a Mariner cost?
Mariner's 15.
Okay, then Loader is stupid. Like, if it was 12 points or something, and it had that gun, but the gun had the drawback of Loader...
Let me double check here.
No,
But
I think you're right. I think it's 15 or 16.
It's expensive because
pretty
it's
great.
14.
14's a little more palatable because it's a range 15 PAL 14.
But you can spend one more point to get a mule.
But is it range 15 PAL 14?
Yeah, an AoE
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, and if a mule is way shorter range.
Correct.
So
I love the Mariners model. The rules don't. I've been wanting to try out not marshalling, but putting him on Gaston. So I have like some good play with running gun and fire group. I think that would make him cool. But I still Loader just makes me want to vomit, especially. And then I start thinking about Ulans and compare them to Storm.
Yeah,
Lances.
don't compare anything to Storm Lances. That way lies
They're both
madness.
cavalry. One
of them apparently has blackmail material. Like Storm Lances, as a concept, have photographs of Privateer Press as a
Stamp.
concept, like cheating on their wife, and so they have to keep Storm Lances good, or else they get outed.
I think that's where it's at. I just like it's a broken record thing throughout the community. But if you have Lance in your name, you should.
Also, if you're on a horse, you shouldn't have one higher defense than the same version of your model on foot.
That's a rough thing. It makes it hard to swallow. I don't understand it. I don't get it.
I think if anything's going to probably be touched in the future, it'll probably be Storm Lances.
Make them defense 12 and make the foot guys defense 13, and then also make fertilizer only work on enemy models.
Yeah, they've been the Storm Lances have been a target.
I like how you slipped that in there.
Yeah.
The Storm Lance has been a target of a lot of ire lately, and I think the big thing is when Privateer Press hits them, because I imagine they're going to eventually, that they need to really look at Signar's other infantry options and bring them up too.
Well, because that's the issue with Stormlance. Like, I was talking to Jake, and when Kane 3 dropped, and he's like, yeah, so one thing with Kane 3 is he does nothing for his infantry, right? Apart from have Calamity, which helps anything, but whatever. In general, he doesn't help his infantry. He's a battle group guy. But so Jake's like, yeah, came up with this Kane 3 list, and it's 2 units of Storm Lances and a Firefly on Junior, and then Lattimore, because she thinks it's like, well, that's the same 40 points you start every one of your lists with.
Exactly.
It's like, yeah, we'll be good with Calamity. Well, sure.
It's good with Constance plays even. Come on, give me a break.
That's the issue, is that every fucking list, like, they're addicted to it, but I can't even blame them because it gets them the best high. Right?
Well, it's the same thing as Mark II Cricks. You start your list,
Banes.
you put Bane Thralls in there, you put the UA in there, and you put a couple of Bile Thralls, and
Put Tartarus in there.
a little more mix, you put some Bane Knights in there, and then I just add Mort Nebra.
Yeah, there's just those formulaic
Well, she's the one you wouldn't do that with. But yeah, Crix in Mark III was, here's 40 points,
Yep.
and then pick your caster and your other 10 points worth of plus
Battle
jack
group,
value.
yep.
Yeah. Yeah, you got your Scarlock, your 2 units of Banes with UAs, you got your Tartarus, and blah, 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 blah.
Yep. Yeah, that's how it feels. And that other factions don't feel as
No.
formulaic anymore.
Minions, it's hard to get away from my brigands, but yes.
Other than some of the smaller ones like Cephalix, there's not much choice you can do.
Correct.
But yeah, I think once we get to the point where everything is not as formulaic, I think it'll be much better.
Trolls
Small
feel
con-
a little bit on that tone too, because you want to take a stone, you want to take a rune bear, and you want to take a mauler.
Yeah.
You can cheat the stone by just attaching sorcerers to it, right?
Yeah, you can. You can make that bubble 11 inches.
What?
It'll only
Because
cost
it's members of the unit, right? And you put 3 of those guys on there.
Jesus!
It'll
I didn't
only
know
cost
you
you
can
an
actually
extra-
attach them to the stone now.
They're
units?
just a unit attached. They're
They're a unit
a weapon
attachment.
attachment.
They're a weapon
technically.
attachment, yeah.
But you can put 3 of them on there. It only costs you like $75, but
Hey,
get that
those
bubble.
sorcerers are amazing models too, though.
they are.
I
They're
really
just-
like.
I
The
like
look of
I like the ice sorcerer that they made more so than I like the old one, the original one.
Yeah.
But the Northkin shaman.
Oh yeah,
I like him a lot more.
Is SmogCon is this coming weekend, right?
Yes.
Which means next Sunday podcast we'll be able to talk about the first released
new-
models
yeah.
from the new faction.
Yep.
Because it'll be there this weekend.
And
That's exciting.
March is when we get the actual rules for them too.
Yep.
They'll be kitted.
Oh, they're going to be kidding out the rules then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or like a
CID
no quarter,
will-
or just on just on
It'll
CID.
be out there,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm sure it'll go into War Room, and we'll be able to build the lists and play them, and they'll have by then, I imagine, if they're rolling this out for us, they'll have their little development portal set up, so that'll be an interesting time to see how that works.
Yeah, I mean, I lived through the playtest of Mark 1 to Mark 2.
Yeah.
Nathan did too. I
Yeah.
don't know were you in that
No,
playtest?
I came in when Mark II was already full.
There's
pretty
Master
well
Holt and the
developed.
Angry Ampersand.
The only thing I really like the direction they're going for Privateer. The only issue I have with the direction that they're going right now is the lack of knowledge for new players.
Yeah,
New player
players
buys a
will be like,
buys a box now. A new player just bought the Hydra, the Desert Hydra.
Mm-hmm.
Their card in that box is useless.
The card thing really irks me.
Yep. The amount of erratas in sorry, the amount of errata that have come out also is an issue too, is because running into a time period slightly that we don't know which is the newest rule that's out there.
Right. Yeah, you just have to either just have to buy War Room, right? You just have to.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, a tablet and War Room costs less than what you spend on a Colossal, right? Like, you can just do that. I mean, and so there's an argument he said that, I shouldn't have to, but on the flip side, you chose an expensive hobby,
Yeah.
right? Like, drop the $60 on War Room, just do it.
War Room
but-
is the best answer for the issue that I'm having.
But even
here.
beyond that, it's on the website. Like I guess it's part of it, right? But a card game, you're gonna have to keep up on the new changes, right? Like you need to know your ban lists and stuff like that for Magic. So you can say a new player can buy box of Magic cards, and if they don't know about the ban and restricted list that's been rolled out, sucks to be them. I mean, is that really much different than not knowing that they changed how?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
It hinges a lot more on community enlightenment, more so than just someone starting out from nothing. Which usually when they do, they just digest the game so much. But I think I've heard that argument used a lot, where like we know we got into an expensive hobby, right? But there are some more economically minded players out there. So yes, it's an expensive hobby. It's a premium hobby. But then like there are so many people that I play with that are more like service level income, where they buy what they can when they can, and to sit here and
buying War Room is costing them a unit. You know, if they're only buying I can get that. You know what I mean? They're an expensive. They're in a hobby that is arguably more expensive than they can handle, but it's a hobby they like, and so they need to do it in a frugal method. And if they buy War Room, they're costing themselves not a colossal, but I understand that. That's true.
And the tablet thing bites me a little too, just because like I'm more competitively minded in this game, so whenever I think about how I play and interact with the game, I think of it from a competitive perspective. And to have to worry about the efficacy of my tablet during the game and whether it crashes or not, like I can't hold myself to save my game every time I change something, just to have that manual process go. So if I have my tablet crash, which more likely the less expensive ones will, now I'm paying, like I won't buy a tablet for War Room unless it's an iPad, because I know that those are more reliable when it comes to running. I have a Kindle Fire
and mine has never crashed ever.
Well, I mean, like when you're going through 8-round events, like if you went to the LCQ and tried to do that, I would have a hard time not believing that would crash at least once.
I went through the LCQ last year.
Your tablet did have troubles once, because I do remember you throwing it.
I throw lots of things.
That sounds like a Nathan thing. Yeah.
I'll tell you, ever since November...
It wasn't a throw, it was more of like a...
Yeah, I just drop it. The impact might help.
Electronic?
I'm not going to point to any events that might be around that time frame, but since November, I've been a little stressed out, and, things upset me.
Sure.
I've been a little stressy since November, and we're all going to die.
Yeah.
Did they culminate sometime in like mid-January?
Yeah, maybe
3 weeks ago or something.
I don't know.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know.
I just don't want the quality of the function of the thing that I'm having ever be a question. I don't want it to ever even enter the equation.
But as long as the PDFs are always available right away, right when the errata drop, which they always will be because they have them in the Insider, like it's just a matter of knowing that you need to print the new card.
There's also an issue too that what they need to really do is coming out with it's going to involve multiple PDFs, but having like one PDF that's like all updated stuff, and then a PDF that has this is what we changed this one, and retroactively going back and editing previous PDFs to pull out cards like like Thunderhead may have been changed 3 times. So PDF 1, like from 6 months ago, he was changed. PDF 2, he was changed. PDF 3 was changed. So they should go back to PDF 2 and just make it so that one is most current.
The master PDF needs to have every single model that's ever been changed and have its current version.
Correct.
But then each errata should also drop with just the cards that change that one, so that you don't have to print the entirety of the master thing.
Yeah, that's what I don't want to do.
So this one right now would have just the Thunderhead and the Darylis, would have like those 4 models.
Correct. And if they were in previous editions, somebody
then that master one would change too.
Correct. The master one would change, and then any previous editions that, let's say, Thunderhead was in like 3 previous editions of errata.
Oh, sure.
So he should just be removed from those.
Yeah.
So that way, if you want,
that's more like a living list.
Yeah. That way, if you're a new player, you can go and say, I'm just going to print the master list, and then if a new errata comes out, well, then I know that these 3 cards have changed.
That's only going to matter if something's changed 3 times, right? Because it would have to have changed once to be on the master list. Then it would have to change a second time to be on. So let's say, and so January it's changed, and it's on the master list.
Yep.
Then June it changes, and so it is in the June list, and they update the January master list,
Okay.
right? Then December it changes a third time. It's in the December list. They update the January list because that's still the master list, and then you want them to also go back and delete him from the June list?
Yeah.
Like, that seems overkill. It's print the newest one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, the June list is just dead, right? And I guess you're just required to know that, but maybe, I guess, if you want full fail-safe,
I want
they
to
would
make sure
have to
that
go
somebody
back.
doesn't print out, like, the January change.
Well, the June change, right?
The June
Would
change,
Because
yeah.
January, the master. So I mean, it should really just be like, I don't know. I mean, there's some point of point of requiring the players to be responsible for themselves, and if all you do is just print the January list, the master list, that's all you do. Sorry, Brian sent me a picture. He said it's going to make me angry, but oh well.
Did it make you angry?
I don't know. It's too dark. I think it's Ogre.
Ogre?
Yeah. I think it's Ogre.
Ogre from
like nerds?
Revenge of the Nerds?
Yeah.
No, Ogre the game.
Nerds!
Oh, well, you guys talk while I look at my picture.
No, the other thing that I really want to have happen too is like, and I hope that this is something that does, because I know that Privateer Press said that we could take the files and get them printed at a professional printer, but for me, convenience-wise, I'd just rather add it to a cart and have them send them to me. So I think they had said that they were going with a printer that could do that, so you could still purchase the cards from their website. I do want a bundle at every errata release that says, here are the cards that change, just add this to your cart, instead of me having to go through and pull all the cards that have been changed.
Just have a bundle that says January edition or January 2017 edition. Yeah,
exactly. That's something that I think needs to be.
I'm not caring about it too much. I just want to make sure that I have the most up to date cards because I have, with Who's the Boss. There's casters are the ones that appear to get the most updates.
Yeah,
and I just want to make sure I have them correct when the cards are out.
Yeah, I just prefer cards in play, and that's just my
Mine as well.
personal deal. But
I mean, it's I just like that better. What are you doing? Are you almost done yet?
Yeah, I'm almost done yet.
'Cause we should be almost done.
yeah, pretty close to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, I think that wraps up all the changes that are happening because of this errata deal. I mean, there is the idea that like when you're practicing for a competitive event, the gotcha of this errata happened, and now you have to change your tactics for it. For the ATC, it was extremely convenient because they drew list submission out 1 week. So I think we would have had 2 days to change.
Correct.
And that's I sat there and I was like, this is so ridiculous. They're too busy to do list checking. This is stupid. And I was just like, this I can't. I drug you guys through the mud for that. And then I was like, oh, now this all makes sense. They are not just being shitbags. So that was it was good timing.
What? No, what?
Yep. So that's the only thing that I guess, because it could be the WTC all over again, where the big cricks changes happen, and then 70% of the lists submitted had huge rippling changes.
Goodness that I was so overwhelmed with stuff I needed to do that we pushed list submission back for a week.
Yep, thank goodness. It's some great timing there. You must have a fetish of
that's just good
rabbits' feet.
Yeah. I have just whole dead rabbits. That's 4 feet each.
Yeah, it is. I was very lucky.
I'm very surprised that your rabbit isn't dead yet.
Speaking of which, we had to buy a second baby gate because that rabbit finally caught on to the fact that it's a fucking rabbit and rabbits can jump. So, like, yesterday morning, we wake up and the rabbit's just running around the house. Like, Kaya's like, hey, there's a rabbit loose. So we had to get that rabbit.
I've seen what Kaya has done to just towels and blankets. I'm just very surprised that she hasn't realized that that's not a squeak toy.
The rabbit will come up to the baby gate, and Kaya will stand there, and she leans over, and the rabbit will get up on its hind paws and put its paws up on the gate to get in range so that Kaya can groom it. Sure. Kaya will sit there licking the rabbit for minutes at a time, and the rabbit's like, all right, this is cool. Like, I don't know what would happen if Kaya just one time what if I do this, and just bit its head off? Well, I guess I know exactly what would happen. But, yeah, nope.
You'd have a very distraught wife and a mess.
It's not our rabbit. I'd have Hassenpfeffer is what I'd have.
No.
Kaya kills that rabbit, I'm roasting it. I have a crock pot.
All right, so we're done. Let's
We're
call it
done again. No
right.
recommendations again. We already did that.
Yeah.
But hey, we padded this out a little more, and we got to talk about some stuff. Somebody in the chat said that we should start a Warmachine Hordes podcast, and I unironically would do a second podcast where we actually just talked about Warmachine Hordes for an hour and a half.
I have the place for it, so
Yeah. I know you'd be down.
Yeah, I think I'd be down. I think I'd have to pick and choose between the bullshit podcast and the...
Hey,
I meant bullshit as not in, like, the material that it is, but more
no,
like the
that's
banter.
exactly what you meant. It is. It is bullshit that we talk about. Just bullshit.
It's
Yeah.
bullshitting. The
Yeah.
act of bullshitting.
The podcast isn't bullshit. It's full of bullshit, and there's a
Exactly.
difference.
Yep.
Yes. About up to here.
All right. Toodles.